What's up? What's happening? Welcome in. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We're streaming live on YouTube as well at the Team 980. And we are monitoring the podium at Ashburn to see when Ron Rivera is going to speak. We're actually going to take Ron live today. At least that is the plan, because there's some interesting developments out of practice today. You have a number of key players limited with injuries, and you have one key player who would have been a talking point anyway out. And his replacement would have been a key talking point, and now he's going to be back on the field, potentially, because Kendall Fuller, let me just explain it as opposed to being oblique about it. Kendall Fuller missed practice today, listed DNP knee. So who's out there? Emmanuel Forbes. Okay, that's interesting. We would like to hear Ron Rivera's thoughts on this. Chris Rodriguez, not injury-related, personal, also missed practice. John Allen, knee, limited. Cam Curl, ankle, limited. Christian Holmes, hamstring, limited. Chris Paul, James Smith-Williams, Montez Sweat, all limited as well. And then Sam Cosmi and Benjamin St. Juste were complete or full participants despite injuries. So that is what we got in terms of an injury report. And when Ron Rivera goes to the podium, we will take you live to Ashburn. Also coming up on the show today, Clinton Yates later on in the hour. And Mike Jones is coming up at the top of the next hour. All right, Anthony, as we wait for Rivera, this is the first time we wanted to take him live in weeks, and of course he's not on time. Not necessarily like his fault, Ron's fault specifically. They have a lot going on out there. Do we want to play some of the bites from Sam Howell? What do we want to do here as we wait for old coach to get to the podium?
Yeah, Sam has some interesting stuff from the podium today. They definitely talked about, him and Curtis Samuel's connection.
So he talked about Jahan a little bit and their
talked
connection.
About his growth. Yep.
Is there anything? What's the most interesting thing that Sam Howell said today? To me, it would be, hey, the sacks.
Mm-hmm.
So I say we see what Sam had to say about the sacks, because that is the biggest talking point in all of Commanders land right now. So on how difficult it is to avoid taking a sack versus finding some more time to throw downfield. Here was the Commanders quarterback earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but it's just something that I got to continue to get better at. And, I think that's the next part of my game where I really need to show growth and development. And I feel good about my ability to do that. It's just a matter of going out there in the games and doing it. And I feel like, the coach has done a good job of trying to, get me out of that mindset and that thought process. And I feel like I've done a decent job with it. Now I just got to go take it into the games and do a better job of it on game day.
All right. That is Howell earlier. Rivera live now in Ashburn.
One week it may all be Curtis. Another week it may be, Terry. It might be Jahan. It might be Dami. It's just, or the tight end position for that matter. It just depends on the flow of the game and based on, the calls and then the reads and the progressions.
Ron, we've asked you before about Sam relaying the plays on offense. What about for the other side of the ball? How challenging is it, what's the biggest challenge for in this case, Cody Barton, to spit the plays out quickly to teammates?
The challenge?
Yeah, I mean, just is it that simple? You just hear it and boom, or is there any complications?
Yeah, you get the huddle call and you make the call, and then they pass it along. If it's a hurry up offense, some of it will be just being able to word of mouth. Others they may have to make some hand signals. I mean, it just depends on what the offense is doing and how much time we have in the huddle. Some of the things that we do are matchup based, and Jack wants to get the appropriate people in and have the right call for it.
And in terms of the linebacker play, obviously the defense was a lot better this game than it had been the previous one. What did you see from that group, and from how did Cody benefit from what the guys up front were doing?
Well, I think really what you saw, when you break the tape down, you saw the linebackers really running, playing fast. I think one of the really good things about this past week was, it was a very physical up front game, and the D line was playing vertical into their creases. They captured their gaps. Makes it a lot easier on the linebackers in terms of their responsibilities of playing downhill. taking the doubles off of the defensive linemen. They played fast. They were very active. Both guys had tremendous production in the game. And for the most part, I thought they handled their assignments very well.
Ron, these Giants games in particular recently have been very tight, close games, one-possession games. What are these two teams? How do you guys bring out the best of each other? Because these games are always so tight when Washington plays the Giants.
For the most part, it's divisional. I think that's probably the biggest one more than anything else. It's a divisional game, and you're going to play against your divisional rivals a little better. At least I believe you typically should, because you know them a little bit more. And because of that, I think that's what really brings the game to being pretty evenly matched.
Just one win, right, against Atlanta, but a much-needed win. What can a win like that just simply kind of maybe turn the tide, get that confidence, get that momentum going again?
Well, I mean, that's basically it, is to play with confidence, to understand and know what you're capable of. And in the fashion we did it, there were some things that we really want to build off of, most certainly, and there's some things that we most certainly want to correct. I mean, defensively, we did some really good things. We capitalized on the takeaways when we had those opportunities. We missed a couple opportunities early on in third down, so we want to be better there. Offensively, we capitalized on field position. We capitalized on early on in our drops early in the game. But then basically what amounted to a 4-minute offense, starting to right around the 8-minute mark, we weren't very good. And those are things we want to get corrected. And we do talk about constantly, about lowering the sack total. That, and again, that's twofold. That's some things that we can do up front better, and some things we can do better as the quarterback.
Coach, going into Sunday's game against the Giants, it's still unclear whether Daniel Jones will play. The question is, do you prepare differently, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or whether it's Daniel Jones playing on Sunday?
Well, you do pay attention and respect who they're going to, who's playing first and foremost. I mean, they're both very qualified quarterbacks, but you also prepare for what they do and how they do it. I mean, in our minds, we always expect to see their best. And so we're going to prepare for what they do the best. And for each one of the quarterbacks, it's I don't know if it's that much more different. You know what I'm saying? Because Tyrod's such a veteran guy. I think he could adapt to anything that their coach wants to do. Whereas with Daniel, they're gonna do the best they can and prepare him the best they can. And so we'll be ready for both of them, either one.
And how do you exploit the fact that this team they don't have a passing touchdown in 4 consecutive games? Is that something you're looking at, or you think it's something they're gonna get out of soon?
Well, it could be anything. I mean, again, things happen and don't happen based on certain things. And the thing that we have to do more than anything else is just go out and play our game. And we can't worry about what they've done and haven't done. We got to really focus in on what we can do and how well we can do it.
Ron, how do you kind of balance the individual development of your players offensively, obviously Sam being foremost, with their development as a group together?
That's a great question, David. Just because of the fact that you want certain guys to grow and grow quickly for us. The running back position has been one that, with the style of offense is a little bit different, asking the running backs to be a little bit more patient to help set up their blockers a little bit better. And, and we have flashes of it. You really see it. I mean, there's some really good runs, in the Philadelphia game, some really good running in the second half of the Bears game. And then some really good running from the different combination of the guys in Atlanta early on, the first 3.5 quarters. And, part of that is, them growing and developing and understanding it. But then you turn around and, like I said, you get to the last 6-7 minutes of the game and, we didn't run the ball the way we needed to. We weren't patient. We were hurrying, and so it's important that, the development of the player, is equal to the development of the offense as a whole. I mean, because again, it's, those guys working together in tandem. I mean, the understanding what the protections are as a blocker and what it's going to do in terms of the depth of the quarterback. Is it a 5 or 7 step? What's the timing and all those things? Those things are all invaluable. And it's the same thing with the route running. You're supposed to run that route at 12 yards and you run it at 10. You're making your break before the quarterback set. Now you're going to be further along in your route, and he's throwing it in. It could be potentially throwing it into hazard. So those are things that it is important that individually you grow. I think you almost have to grow quicker individually to fit into what the growth of the offense is.
With the difference, you know this, you see the numbers, the difference between when you guys don't take a sack and when you do is stark. I mean, the offense is explosive when you don't take a sack.
Oh, no. I mean, you look at a lot of those drives and going back and looking at them, that there is no sack, and it's just, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Similar to David's question about the offense and growing. Emmanuel Forbes obviously is a rookie. You guys played him and then sat him. Kind of where's your balance with a player like that in terms of him growing and resetting versus obviously wanting to win games?
Well, it's that. I mean, we look at certain things and we know what he can bring to the table. We've seen it. And so it's about trying to find that balance of, you get to a certain situation and say, you know what, let's sit him for a while, let's let him grow. I mean, we went through the same thing with Jamin. And look at him now. I mean, the young man's really come a long way. He's done some really good things for us, and we're pretty excited about who he's become. And I would say the same thing about Emmanuel. It's going to take a little bit of time sometimes. And as he grows and to what David's point and your point as well is that, there is a certain spot where, it is about winning. And we went through that my very first season. We tried something my first 4 weeks, and I just felt, you know what? I owe it to doing something different, and I did.
What is about Emmanuel's personality that lets him handle this as well as he seems to be handling this so far?
He's a natural corner. I mean, he understands and gets that you have to be ready to move on to the next thing, and in the meantime, you just do the best you can and get yourself ready to go.
After 5 games, what have you made of Chase Young?
Can I use 6 games?
But he's played 5 games.
Oh.
I'm just wondering what you've thought of the first 5 games so far.
I mean, he's done exactly what we've asked. He really has. I mean, he's done some good things. He's very dynamic. He's got some explosion to his game. I mean, he's doing a great job.
And you guys have faced a lot of third and longs. I know that a part of that is sacks, but are there other things you guys can do on maybe first and second down to stay ahead, or I guess is there anything other than the sacks you can do to stay ahead of the stakes?
Well, I mean, again, it's if you want to try and stay out of third and long, you just got to be better on first and second down, whether it's running it or throwing it.
Speaking of the sacks, how impressed have you been with Sam's toughness?
Oh, I'm believe me, I'm very impressed with that. He's a tough young man. He does a great job. He's a very resilient guy. I mean, it's one of those things when you watch him and I think that's part of when he runs the ball. He kind of feels like he can handle it, and that's great. But we'd much rather see him slide a little bit more. It was good to see him slide when he got the first down and protect himself. I mean, he's a very tough, smart, sharp, resilient. I mean, just the kind of guy that gets, his teammates get behind him. And it's really kind of a neat thing.
Talking with some of the linemen, they recognize that it's a holistic thing for the offense, but that they get frustrated that the sack totals. How do you try to make sure the whole team understands that it's 1 through 11 out there? It's not on any one person.
I think they all understand that. I mean, I don't think it's something that we need to point out. I mean, we talk about it all the time, and they're sharp enough. They understand what's going on out there, and I think the one thing that a lot of the people do appreciate is the growth and development it's going to take for Sam. I mean, this is a first-year quarterback, first-year starting. There's a lot of bumps in the roads, and we got some young guys that are out there playing with him as well, and so there's some growth that needs to happen. But at the end of the day, they're doing the best they can. They're playing hard, they're learning, they're growing, they're developing. I mean, we get it. But just knowing that it's going to take a little bit of time.
Coach, this week Jamison Crowder got Special Teams of the Week honors. What can you say about his performance thus far and just the importance of what he brings to that position overall? I think what's been really cool about Jamison is he came in and has had to learn a lot, not just our special teams, but he had to learn our our offense. And what's really neat to watch him is the professionalism in which he approaches everything, how he's working with a lot of our young guys. He's been working with Kaz Allen, helping him in terms of trying to learn and grow and develop as a slot receiver, but also as a punt returner. And so it's been kind of cool watching the veteran guy help the young kid out.
He's got a little sage wisdom to him. I think the guys respect that from him as well. I mean, he's been great to have around, and he's a dynamic returner. And I think what it's done is given our guys, a little bit of a jolt, a little bit of shot in the arm, knowing that you have an explosive guy back there. And so when I know they're on the huddle on the sidelines and Coach Kaiser's talking to him, he's telling him, hey, just give this guy a chance, just give this guy a shot. And they did on Sunday, and we saw the result.
And a lot of fans traveled to Atlanta this past weekend. How much of that was a boost for you all?
That was cool. Our players talked about that. In the locker room, just listening to the guys after the game talk about how cool it was to see as many fans that were there. It was really neat that they came out in force too. It really was. When we were leaving the game after the field after the victory, just having them cheer us was really a neat thing, and that's what the guys really talked about. Is they could hear the fans, but the applause they were getting when they were coming in after the game, that really kind of excited those guys.
All right, that is Ron Rivera from Ashburn. We'll take a quick break, come back, react to that, and let you hear more from Sam Howell earlier today. Clinton Yates at 4:30, Mike Jones at 5, the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, and always live as well on the free Odyssey app. They get real Icarus-y, to go back to your Greek mythology days. You remember the story of Icarus, Anthony?
Not quite, Frank.
What do they teach you at Georgetown Prep? Icarus, the guy who flies too close to the sun. What do they teach you at Georgetown? Anthony, I think you just put your job at risk at Georgetown Prep.
Why?
There's no way that they did not teach you the story of Icarus at Georgetown Prep.
We actually did a lot of Greek mythology, but we didn't talk about Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Yes, you did. You don't remember it. I feel very. Who can we call at Prep to confirm this?
I mean, I will just do that right now. Actually.
Okay. I would like you to ask someone of authority. Do we teach about Icarus?
2 hours later.
Did we ever check in on that, Anthony?
Yeah, my classmates actually texted me and said, yeah, we've done it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to figure out where you were on that day of class at a later date.
You're right.
Last night, Arina Sabalenka makes the U.S. Open final, the Belarusian player, and here's how it sounded on Belarusian television.
Арина Сабаленко! Ваму! Что Арина недостойна звания первой ракетки мира.
Yeah.
Получите! Распишитесь!
Oh, yeah.
Rising up, back on the street. Did my time, took my chances. When the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive. So many times it happens too fast.
Oh, keep
You
going.
change passion for glory. It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the night. Rising up to the challenge of a rival. And they lost, no survival. Все, ребята, я сдулся.
10 out of 10. No notes. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, where we bring you Clinton Yates every week. Back in about 8 minutes. Real quick, back to where we were with Sam Howell before Ron Rivera stepped to the podium. We'll have more reaction on what Rivera said a little later. The one thing I missed, though, Anthony, was he asked about Kendall at the beginning there, that while we were playing the Sam Bite. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear the beginning. I think the question when I first faded him up was about the receivers.
Okay. I just didn't know if you were able to monitor, because I'd be curious to know, like, JP tweeted out that, like, the Fuller situation's something to monitor.
Oh.
So Kendall Fuller, if you're just tuning in, missed practice today with a knee injury. Obviously, he's been great so far this year. And Emmanuel Forbes has been on the bench the last week. I was on the bench. That's a reference for people who get the reference. So we'll see if Forbes is back in the lineup and how that goes if he's out there on Sunday. As for Sam Howell, obviously the biggest thing for him right now is whether or not he is taking sacks. And that was talked about in the press conference with Ron. Like, with this offense, doesn't take sacks, it's really good and really explosive. And then it takes sacks, and it's not so good anymore. So, Howell, though, I think it's important to know that, like, the guy that he played against on Sunday did a good job of avoiding sacks. Desmond Ridder got rid of the ball, lickety split, off and into the hands of Washington Commanders defenders. So there is a fine line here that's being walked between taking sacks and putting the ball at risk, and that is something that Sam is taking a calculation with and talked about earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to make good decisions. And, I think sacks are negative plays, like I kind of said earlier. They really kill your drives, especially, when you're in field goal range. You can take a sack, get out of field goal range, and just little things like that. I think it's just you got to have good feel for the situation. And obviously, you want to get rid of the football, but you don't want to, throw it into a crowd or throw it to someone that's covered. So that's one thing I'm just trying to continue to get better at is, if I do need to find an incompletion, just throwing it at somebody's feet, and just find an incompletion and just let the play another down. But yeah, it's just an area where I'm continuing to grow.
I think that is something that Sam he seems to learn like one lesson a week, and you're like, oh, that was better. And I think there was a situation, Anthony, it actually happened in the first drive on Sunday, where he showed growth this weekend, even though he wound up ultimately taking 5 sacks. And on that drive, he took a sack, or on that drive, he took a sack. They got into 3rd and 14, and Sam hits Curtis on what I know is a swirl route. So basically, it's like you go to run to the corner, the play on Madden. It's like jet, chip, wasp, and it's got like the route that looks like it's a corner route, and then it stops
and it comes back.
Yeah, it's that. So it's like a corner comeback. Not like a straight comeback, but like you go up about 10, 15 yards, depending on how they coach it, somewhere in there, and then you angle up towards the pylon or the post, and then you stop. And they hit Curtis on that, and it's short of the first down, but it makes it for, a 40-something yard field goal for Joey Sly instead of a 50-something yard field goal. That's growth. That's progress. That is good. That is good NFL quarterbacking. And, maybe Curtis slips a tackle and gets the first down and you actually get a new set, and that's great. But just understanding the worst thing I can do here is not get the ball out. The worst thing I can do is turn this from a 50-yard field goal into a 70-yard field goal, a.k.a. a punt. A.k.a. we're not attempting the actual field goal, we're punting. And so he does a good job there of doing that and getting the ball out and actually making an easier field goal. And there's other situations where he hasn't done that this year. Same thing like when they're backed up, and I hated this play call late because it stopped the clock, but Sam, they call a screen on 3rd and 20, and Sam sees it's not there, and instead of trying to make something happen, he just throws it at dude's shoelaces. And, like, sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to know when to eat it. You got to know when discretion is the better part of valor. And hopefully, the next lesson is throw with anticipation and big down and distance. And we'll see if he can learn that lesson, because that's where a lot of his sacks are coming, where he misses guys and then they're not open for very long, because that's what happens in the NFL. The window opens, either the ball is arriving or it's too late. And if he can learn that, when that timing is on certain patterns with certain receivers and get in a rhythm, then they're going to be just fine. If not, they'll continue to have this problem. And hopefully, the best case scenario is something like Sunday, where he plays through it and they're able to overcome some stuff and win football games. The worst case scenario is obviously that he takes too many hits and gets hurt. And it also affects the actual football itself. All right, it's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. When we get back, Clint Yates joins us to talk a little playoff baseball. One other thing you mentioned on the positive side for Washington is the physicality of the defensive line.
Yeah.
They have ultimately 5 sacks in the game. And I think between what they did in the run game and those 5 sacks, like, you see they looked a lot more like them. And I think, one, John Allen played a lot better and was noticeable. But also, your boy, Casey Tuhill,
showed up,
monster day. FA's in there making plays. Like, I think the depth in the rotation, they got it right this week, really, for the first time. I'm curious once we see the snap counts, but it kind of allowed them to play with the effort that we've been looking for because they did rotate it more. Those guys were fresher, and even at the end of the game, like, they're some hands on hips in that final drive, and you're like, ooh, man, are they finally going to wear out? Because they were on the field for damn near 80 plays by the end of it.
Right.
But as a total, at that point, even if you're playing 60 plays, like, it's only 3 quarters. But I do feel like they got that more correct in this game than they have all season.
No, I agree.
And the results were there.
No, I agree. I think it's, the proof is in the pudding, and I think you get good production from the backup guys. James, again, you got to watch it more. I thought James flashed at times with some good physicality. And like having those guys in is important. Like, they're NFL players, and I think if you can get a rotation going and elevate Montez and Chase and some of the other guys in that front, it just helps everybody. So it'll be cool to kind of snap counts and see who was effective and who wasn't. But ultimately, I think like that they've kind of laid a roadmap moving forward. Be an elite team. Like, look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and they got to have it. That offense, like, they are excellent at chewing clock, managing the game from an offensive perspective, and I think that's where I would say this outing from the Commanders falls a little short. Not that anybody played poorly, I think that's an important thing to note too. Is like, overall, I think if you were to go through and be like, that's pretty good, that's pretty good, that's pretty good, and you go down the list, but ultimately, like, there's a reason you're going 3 and out, 5 and out in the second half. And I think when we have the all 22, we'll be able to touch on that a little bit more.
It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Hope you're having a great, what's today, Wednesday? Wednesday. It's Wednesday, because that means Clint Yates is with us. That's how that works. He joins us every Wednesday. He's, of course, with us on the hotline from L.A., where he's getting ready for more playoff baseball. What up, Yates?
Nothing much, man. I got to ask you a question to start out with.
Okay.
Ever since the Bears lost, what I also refer to as the non-firing of Ron Rivera, my concern was, they're going to win a couple games, hang around that relevancy point, and not really get to the issue at hand. And I feel like last week's win was one of those paper tigers against a team that's not very good. Am I wrong about this, or is that just me? I
mean, you're not wrong about the fact that it's a bit of paper tiger win. I mean, I don't know how different they are really than Atlanta, like, all things considered. Like, Atlanta's got some nice pieces. Washington has some nice pieces. They're very different pieces. Have I not told you my my Nick Nurse theory?
What's that?
So Josh Harris just hired Nick Nurse to be the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. And boy, are they having a great time right now, by the way, with the latest James Harden stuff. I don't know if we'll have time for that today. But my thought is Josh Harris just hired Nick Nurse. And he's going to talk about basketball with Nick Nurse. And then he's going to come back and he's going to talk football with Ron Rivera. And those two conversations are not going to be the same. And that is why Ron Rivera won't be here next year.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I just sort of felt like you had the perfect time to can the guy and release a little anger, too. Sometimes that's a necessity for the fan bases. I thought it was really weird that if you lose to that team, all of a sudden you're kicking around the coach for a little bit longer. What are you waiting for? But that's just me.
Well, I mean, look, we've obviously spent a lot of time on this on the show. What you're waiting for is the offseason because replacing him is not that easy and you still have to play the rest of the schedule.
I'm sorry. Is there not a coordinator right there that everybody wanted to be a head coach to begin with?
There is.
At the very least.
If I am Eric Bieniemy, though, I don't want to be the head coach now. I want to be the head coach in the offseason when I get to name my own defensive coordinator. And the problem side of the ball is more the defense and the offense. And now all of a sudden, I, offensive coordinator in my first year of full-time offensive coordinating, have to fix the defense? No thanks, bro.
Yeah, those things don't seem mutually exclusive to me if you actually know what you're doing. But again, what do I know?
You know more than the average bear. You've been doing this for a hot second.
Fair enough.
Clinton
Fair
Yates,
enough.
of course, commentator at ESPN, longtime Washington Post, Washington, D.C.'s own. Although at this point, longtime ESPN, too. You can watch him on Around the Horn, ESPN.com, Anscape, the whole 9 yards. So, are the Phillies the Rangers? Like, are these just two teams that are on fire at the right time in a collision course World Series, or is there a way one of these two series turns?
Rangers are doing things a little bit differently, and Nationals fans, cover your ears if you care. But I know the Phillies have 3 former Nationals on their roster. However, the melange of humans that Hurd, the GM, has put together for the Phillies is as good of a blend of players as I've seen vibes-wise and baseball-wise in Major League Baseball in a decade, period. Forget about the Phillies. Forget about, any specific franchise. What they got going, Braves fans, I'm talking to you, Dodgers fans, I'm talking to you, and Nationals fans who are still unbelievably thinking that how could it be that we have 3 guys? It doesn't always work that way. Putting together a team that A, likes each other, B, is any good, and C, has some chutzpah, some cojones, you know what I mean, is not easy. And the Phillies, that's all happening. Remember last year, they beat Atlanta to get to the World Series, ended up not winning that against the Astros. They got no hit in their own stadium. But they were the buzzsaw last year. This year, they're for real, and they know who they are, and it's fun to watch a team with that kind of excitement. And quite frankly, I'm happy for Bryce Harper. He is a 10 times better fit in that town for that team than he ever was in D.C., and I'm mad at it.
So you're not mad at it. Like, you got plenty of friends that are Nats fans. Like, do you, if the average Nats fan that's not Clinton Yates baseball covering professional, like if you were just like, your life had taken a different path, and let's say you're writing Metro still, or you're writing for the Post or something. I'm just giving you a different job that's not sports writer, right?
No, I get it.
Like, are you rooting for Bryce Harper then, or is this because you just have such an appreciation for the game?
Maybe, but there's part of that that's like, hey, guys, this is what happens when, I hate to say this, when you're a poverty franchise. Things like this, people go to other places and they're just happier. They feel more like themselves. They feel like they're not conforming to something that either the town or the franchise is requiring. And I think that's a large part of it here. Again, the identity of who the Nationals are as a franchise is relatively undetermined. You can take the Steven Strasburg example alone as just what exactly goes on with who they want to be as a question. So, yeah, I mean, it's upsetting if you're a DC sports fan, but this is kind of a you get what you pay for situation. Like, they're not running that operation like anybody who's really trying to win. Heck, they're trying to sell the team and can't even figure that out. So it's unfortunate, but these are the growing pains of becoming a Major League Baseball franchise.
Clinton Yates, ESPN, with us. You still got baseball tonight live, too, by the way. Is that still going for the rest of the postseason?
Yeah, we're still got a couple more in the postseason.
Nice, love that. Why have the Rangers just been so unstoppable, like to the point that they literally have not lost a game in 2 weeks?
Well, I think they hired the right manager in Bruce Bochy. During the winter meetings, him and Dusty sort of reunited. They're not facing off against each other when the news conference happened for his signing. And it was a reminder that, like, oh, yeah, there is a place for the experienced old guy in Major League Baseball, not just the guy who's going off of what the front office does from an analytics standpoint, not just the guy who's a hot, young, new dude that everybody in the minor leagues likes, and then he comes up to the big leagues. Bruce Bose's won 3 daggone World Series. He knows what he's doing. Of course, the general manager of the Rangers used to play for him, so there's a little bit of familiarity there, but ain't nothing wrong with that when it's working. I love this series. I think it's kind of a throwback, and I think the Rangers are in an interesting position tonight. Speaking of former Nationals, with Max Scherzer on the mound, something I would not have done personally coming back from injury. Some of us might remember a couple of seasons ago where he said, during the World Series, my arm fell off or whatever it was. And some of us also might remember Game 5 of the World Series in 2019 when he woke up and just couldn't pitch and created one of the more awkward scenarios in World Series history where the guy woke up that morning and ended up throwing a World Series game. But I just feel that the Rangers are led by a guy who knows what he's doing, and so the young guys and the veterans can mix well, and there's confidence in them. So I don't think that they're going to win tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised if they won the series overall. But, yeah, a little shout-out to old school baseball and Bruce Bochy, who has the largest cranium in the major leagues.
That's hilarious. Didn't he have like a size 8 1/4 head or something like that?
It's ridiculous. And, like, if you see it in person, it's got its own orbit system. It's beyond bizarre.
I think it's interesting, too. Like, here's my little bit of Rangers knowledge from the fact that I used to cover the Texas Rangers.
Sure.
But, you know, back when I was there in 2012, 13, 14, like, Wash was the manager, Ron Washington, a true baseball character, but certainly old school guy. And it kind of worked, like the mix of Wash and John Daniels, the GM at the time. John, a new school analytics type of guy, and Wash, the old school. Like, that's the most success that franchise had in a long time at that point until, well, right now. What is it about the old school baseball manager that guys like Dusty, guys like Bochy just seem to be successful? I mean, obviously they're picking good jobs. When you have their resumes, you tend to get hired in good places. So I'm not a fool and don't realize that there's some element of that to it. But what is it about them in a sport that is so data driven that feel, that old school thing is something that elevates a team?
I think it's the ability to analyze who's going to be able to do it for 162 plus. When you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that seems to always do well in the 162 and then completely flame out in the playoffs, I think it's because when you have a manager that's done it, that's been there, they've got a slightly better feel on who the guys are they can trust in the playoffs to go after things. That's why when I think about the Phillies, people talk all the time about, oh, man, we got this player and we rebooted this and rebooted that. The Phillies have a bunch of guys from other teams, not just the Nats, who have found something within themselves. And so even though they're sort of a different thing, it's finding that ability. Who can actually do it in October that experience comes in for? Because it's not always your biggest name guys. It's not always the superstar. It's not always the guy who is the stat sheet freak. And I just feel that that's the sweet science, to borrow a boxing term, of baseball, that analytics supposed to keep acting like, is it real? Bro, 100-win teams went down early in this season. I think it's because teams just assume you can plug and play. No, man, you still got to play the game, still got to know your players, and you still got to actually, be a good squad.
You know who it always is, though?
The Stros.
No,
they're there all the time.
I mean, yeah, sure. It's also always Kyle Schwarber.
Well, yeah, I mean, that guy turned his whole career. I got to be honest. I did not think Kyle Schwarber would be this productive of an MLB player for this long. I really didn't. Whoever decided to put him in the leadoff spot, because that team plays like a beer league softball team where he can just mash homers right off the rip and annoy people, brilliant decision. Brilliant decision. It has worked out tremendously because they jump up on folks, the crowd's going crazy, and then you're totally out of the game, and it's unbelievable. But, yeah, shout out to Kyle Schwarber, man. That guy's really –
Oh, no. Did Yates' phone die?
What?
Oh, there it's back.
Mute.
Hit the mute. Oh, that's 2 weeks in a row. We're going to have to put you on the fine board, bro.
Considering that I'm on a show where I get muted all the time, this is a terrible travesty. But what I was saying is that I'm really proud of Kyle Schwarber in the sense of that guy was a little bit of a one-trick pony, and he's managed to make it onto – he's like the new Reggie Jackson. The guy's Mr. October. All he does is hit bombs in the playoffs. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Should we call it the reality button?
If we can call it the reality button, I'll tell him that. He'll be very excited to hear.
Yeah. Well, that's good that he'll be able to hear you because we couldn't because you self-reality'd there. All right. Clinton Yates with us each and every Wednesday here on the Hoffman Show. Been great to have him talking a little baseball with us in October. Make sure we inject a little playoff baseball into the show. Also, sometimes he asks me questions about the Commanders, and those are good too. All right, buddy. I will talk to you soon. Thank you.
I'll be in Phoenix this weekend if you guys want to care about the Phillies Diamondback coverage.
All right. I just am jealous because it's like 45 degrees in the morning here, and you're going to be warm.
Oh, dagger. All right, goodbye. It's
Yeah.
sunny here.
Also,
I'll talk to you
and
later.
also you live in L.A. Goodbye.
Yes.
All right. See ya. We were friends until 30 seconds ago. Anthony, is it just me or is it getting colder faster this year?
It's getting cold. I mean, but you should be used to it, Craig. You spent some time in Syracuse. You know,
yeah,
around
but I'm not in
October.
Syracuse right now.
Yeah, I mean.
Also, I spent more time in Dallas than I did in Syracuse, and I grew up in South Carolina. I'm a wuss when it comes to the weather.
Well, and look, those Syracuse weathers, you know, built you for this moment. So
I hate when people say that so much.
you'll be all right, man.
Do you know what happened when I went to Syracuse in the winter?
You didn't have any.
I
snow
discovered
days.
I had seasonal depression. That's what happened when I went to Syracuse in the
Good
winter.
gracious.
Yeah. A little vitamin D pill helps a lot. I wish I knew that in college.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
It's a real thing.
I don't.
Good
Yeah, no,
gracious.
it is. I mean, when you go outside and it's nothing but gray skies for 4 months, and you don't even see the gray sky because the wind is so frigid and terrible that you walk around to class staring at the ground the whole time,
Oh, it's longer than 4
hoping that you don't run into anybody. So, do you ever walk to class backwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You, me, and every other person that went to that university only because the journalism school is really good. They put that, people are like, oh, it kind of sucks that it's in Syracuse, New York. I'm like, yeah, it does. Because if it was in Miami, everybody'd want to go.
Yep. We had a heated promenade that didn't work.
You had a what?
A heated promenade?
Oh, that didn't work?
Yeah.
Here was the worst thing. My first year at Cuse, my junior year, because I transferred in, 2 years, half the winters, same degree. It was like 98 when we got there, and none of the buildings had AC. Or the dorm that I was in didn't have AC.
God,
Yeah.
dang.
That was a rough, first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell? And then, of course, by, snows on Halloween, you're like, oh, cool. This is neat. No, it's not.
The earliest it snowed when I was there, October 1st, I think it was, and the latest it snowed was like May.
Yeah. There was one, the year before me, I think it snowed on graduation, which is Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah. There was snow on my graduation.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't that cold, though. It was not that cold.
Syracuse, where you're like, it's cold enough to snow, but it's not that cold.
Yeah.
In May. Cool. SUNDC, you're welcome for the recruiting video.
Yep.
All right. When we get back here on the Hoffman Show, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of the other thing, checking in on some of the top non-Commander stories in sports. But we get back to the old Mandos and the rest of the news around the NFL, including Roger Goodell's extension with Mike Jones coming up at 5 o'clock. Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Anthony, I feel like I've had a frog in my throat for like the last segment and a half. Every time I go to talk, I'm like, ah.
Have you drank any water?
Bro, I got this water bottle.
Yep.
I got a Gatorade bottle with some element in it. And then I have my Lululemon water bottle that just is very good at keeping water very cold. That's just got regular water in it.
I love Lululemon, by the way.
They're good.
I was not trying to endorse them by no means.
I have a story for you off the air. I had to do a lot of mental gymnastics there. I'm just going to put it that way.
Okay.
I occasionally have talked about this class that I take, Elevate, and they have a running format called Endurance. And I've only taken it previously on Sundays, then I often just lay on the couch because it's really intense. And I took it this morning. They offer it on Sundays and Wednesdays, and I took that this morning, and I either need to get in better shape or not do that again because I'm now at a point in the day where I am tired.
Yeah.
I'm very, very tired.
What time did you do this?
Oh, it wasn't the time. It was an 8:20 class. That was fine.
Oh.
But
did you get a nap in?
No.
Oh,
because like prime nap time would be like 2:00.
Yeah, it is.
But I got to come here. But I'm like, I just got to keep drinking the water. I got to keep drinking the electrolytes.
There you go.
Probably could use like an espresso, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that because it's also 5:00 in the afternoon and I want to be able to sleep tonight.
Yep.
I just got to make it to 7, bro.
Are you not watching the game tonight?
I'm going to try my best.
Okay. The effort will be there.
I'm going to try my best.
Okay.
What's 8:00 tip-off tonight?
Yep.
Thank God, East Coast. I think I can make it.
There it is. 2-hour game. Should be good.
Yeah. Which brings us to this, that, and the other thing. WNBA Finals tonight. Then we got a couple of NFL injury notes. We were talking about before the show, massive, and I just mentioned it in trending, massive injuries for the Aces. Chelsea Gray goes down at the end of the last game. Kia Stokes wakes up the day after the game and is like, uh-oh, my foot hurts. So they lose one of their best interior defenders. Obviously, Asia Wilson's the best interior defender they have, and a shot creator. So it's going to be tough, man. They got to win one of the next two, obviously, to win the championship. Game 5 is in Vegas. Did you see anything on Candace Parker? Becky was like hinting that maybe Candace could come back, but I think that was mostly just see if she can rile up some feathers. But I don't think that Candace Parker's coming back in either of these games. So assuming that's the case, like Vegas still has plenty of firepower. They still got the person who I think should have won MVP in Asia Wilson. And I think they should feed her like crazy. Like I would try to have Asia have a 40-20 game tonight. Kelsey Plum has the greenest light in the history of green lights. Like Jackie Young, like be super aggressive. And then just hope you hit some shots and hope that New York can't keep up. But New York's a big team with a lot of size. Missing Kia Stokes is big. Missing someone who can control the game like Chelsea Gray, a.k.a. the point god. Like that's a big loss for Vegas. So I don't know. I got a weird, funny feeling that I feel like they do it, but it's obviously going to be very, very difficult. And I do not pretend that I'm not biased as hell because I would like to see Vegas win because one of my best friends plays for them.
Mr. Craig Hoffman.
You think this is going back to Vegas for game 5?
I think this is going back to Vegas. And everybody keeps bringing up they could possibly do something that's never been done in the WNBA history, and that's come back from a 2-0 deficit in the WNBA Finals. I think this might be that year, man.
I mean, it could be possible. It could be possible with the injuries.
With the injuries.
And that's the thing, like, bigger sports take in general. Teams are like, it doesn't matter if you lose one here. It matters. You know, like, always take care of business as soon as possible because you just don't know what is going to happen. And unfortunately, Vegas got pretty well run off the floor in Game 3. They're now down 2 starters, and we'll see Game 4 tonight. All right, bunch of NFL injury notes. The AR-15 news from Indy just absolutely sucks. Anthony Richardson looks so explosive, so fun. Like, frankly, he looked, I would say, better developed, like more mature as a quarterback than a lot of people anticipated him looking like in his first couple of starts. And unfortunately, he left 3 of the 4 of them, and now he's done for the year. And this is the worry all the time when you have a quarterback who runs and is as physical as a guy like Richardson is, whether it's a shoulder injury like he's got or taking a hit elsewhere, like it's a rough existence sometimes. And they got to figure out, hey, how do we not have him take hits like this? And also what is the structural thing that's causing him to have to leave games with this kind of consistency? And I'm sure like they're incredibly bummed up in Indianapolis. Good thing they've got a good backup in Gardner Minshew, but if I'm them, like, almost like, hey, does anybody want Gardner Minshew? He's going to win us too many games, and we want to stink so we can get Marvin Harrison Jr. for Anthony to throw to next year.
Yeah, but the thing is, the defense is also pretty solid
that's good
too.
Tell Z to stop tackling people.
It's so they're in a tough situation. Like, they can make some noise, but I don't think they're good enough to like really contend, especially with all the heavy hitters they have in the AFC.
Yeah, no, it's a loaded conference. It's going to be really, really tough, and they'll fight. They'll be a pain in the butt to play every week. And Minshew, like, realistically, are they that much worse this year with Minshew than with Richardson? No, they're not. But Richardson's trajectory is going up, and Minshew's is flat. And for the long term, Minshew's will go down, and Richardson's should be like a logarithmic curve that looks like a skateboard ramp. So it really is unfortunate. Just a super exciting player. Seems like a great young kid, and he's done for the season. Then there's what's going on in Cleveland. And, like, look, am I taking great joy in watching the Browns eat giant piles of crow about Deshaun Watson? Of course. But can we just admit on a purely football level, this is bizarre. They can't put a timeline on his return. It's like a bruised shoulder, and he's just like, yeah, everything structurally is fine, but I can't throw a football right, so I'm not playing. It's weird, man. Like, he's a weird dude, and this is a weird injury, and those things may or may not be related, but it is certainly not good. And, like, the thing is, people seem to forget from his time in Houston is before everything happened that he did to himself, he missed a ton of time. Like, that dude missed a ton of time with injury. Like, yeah, he was incredible for small stretches, but he was also very inconsistent. Part of it was being a young player. Part of it was injury related. And he kind of really put it together in the last year before he's out. And everyone's like, oh, my God, is he the third best quarterback in football at the time? Behind, like, Mahomes or Allen, and Brady's still playing. Like, is he kind of in that class? And now he's stunk last year. He's starting to look better this year, and now he's got this weird shoulder injury, and the Browns are like, what the hell, man? It's just a weird situation. In fact, let's ask Mike Jones about it, see what he knows. Coming up next, Mike Jones, senior insider for The Athletic, covering the NFL, joins us on that, joins us on Roger Goodell's contract extension, and, of course, we'll get some thoughts about the Commanders as well. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and always live as well on the free Odyssey app.
To warn you, bro, it is a mess in downtown Nashville every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Not even
we moved hotels the next night. I still am waiting on my refund for that. But yeah, we moved hotels the second night.
Wow.
It was fun. You say they rely on them. We went to brunch with my buddy the next day, who is a Nashville native and has lived in Nashville long enough that he remembers when it was more than just the bachelorette capital of the world. And he's like, yeah, we're pretty much on the woo girl economy.
Yeah, that's precisely what's going on. The downtown businesses cater to that. If you try to get it shut down, you're probably the one getting thrown out. It is what it is right now. It's weird, but Nashville, baby. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So I will add one more small part to this story, and this is the part, frankly, that I've been waiting to tell you all week as well. That was kind of part one. We got quality Yates reaction. Part two, as we leave the hotel the next morning to go to breakfast. Remember, the wall's very thin. So it's not going where you think it's going. But as we walk down the hallway, my dear sweet wife just starts saying in a slightly elevated volume of voice, It's been proven that the later groups stay out and make noise and all this stuff at their bachelorette weekend, the higher the divorce rate.
Oh God!
In the wedding,
So
and also
Talking
the better
trash,
chances,
basically.
and also the better chances.
Ow. Okay. Okie dokie. So Rachel was pissed, basically.
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of tolerance for the Woo girls. They say on the internet, like, feel free to post stuff, like your friends' photos, do whatever. But like whatever you do for your own well-being, don't read the comments. Comment section, bad idea. What do we do?
We read those comments, baby.
That is exactly what we do. That was a little bit better. I still feel like that one was a little muted. I think sometimes it feels like you build yourself up a little. Sometimes you don't
I
quite
want to go
for it.
screaming all the way. The thing is, though, my mic is a little lower than yours, so maybe I could actually, did what I really.
Mike also moved. You can. Ooh. Did you know you could play tricks with a microphone?
I think I'm gonna try that next time.
Okay. You want to give it another shot? Or you want?
We read those comments, baby.
There we go. All right. I feel now.
Yo, I'm doing the knowledge, E, man.
It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. 5 o'clock each and every day, we bring in an elevated level of expertise. It is time for Not My Beat.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in. Not My Beat.
Today, our pleasure to welcome back to the show our guy Mike Jones, senior NFL writer at The Athletic. Mike, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing well. A busy week in the NFL with not only, we're in the middle of a season, but you have the league meetings up in New York. Roger Goodell ultimately gets a 3-year extension. Let's start with that before we get to some of the rest of the football news around the league. Like, This was expected. Was there any kind of holdup, hiccup, any disagreement of any kind over any part of this deal, or was this every single part of it, compensation, years, et cetera, a foregone conclusion?
I think we knew this was going to be coming. At the owners' meetings back in the spring, Jerry Jones was asked about this. And, a couple years ago, Jerry Jones was making a big deal and kind of, acting like, they should consider some other options and wanted to reduce some of Roger Goodell's power. And then they wound up, kissing and making up whatever differences Jerry Jones had. At that spring meeting, he praised Roger Goodell for what he was doing and the way he was helping expand and grow the reach of the game. And so okay, all right, if Jerry Jones, who was raising a stink a couple years ago, was on board with Roger Goodell getting an extension, he's one of the most influential owners, you knew it was going to happen. So it makes sense that they got it done. When you look at 2010, Roger Goodell talked about his goal for the league bringing in $25 billion a year. Well, they have gone from $1 billion to, I think it was about $8 billion when he said that. And now they're somewhere around, I think, between 21, 22 billion a year. So he's close to his goal. I think they're projected to hit it in 2027. So these owners are very happy with Roger Goodell. These massive broadcast deals that he is helping secure, the way they're growing the game, the international series, the money just keeps on piling up. And he's a great buffer for them. Anytime there's something controversial, he takes the bullets. He's got a decent relationship with NFL Players Association, so they've avoided work stoppages. So he is everything that they want. And as long as the money keeps coming in, they will keep extending Roger Goodell and making sure that they continue to get paid.
So there was some reporting that I saw today, though, that this is likely his last deal, 3 years. He's in his early 60s. By the end of this deal, he will be older than Tagliabue was, older than Rozelle was at the end of their terms. And even if they're happy with his job, there's just the logistics of as people get older. Like, do they look for someone fresher? Is Goodell like, you know what? You guys have paid me a lot of money over a lot of years. I think I've made enough. I'm going to go retire and enjoy the rest of my life. In a league like the NBA, like there's always, we see the second round of the draft, like the deputy commissioner does it, does the draft lottery. Like we kind of know who the second in charge is. The NFL, not as much. Who are the other people that in 3 years we might be hearing about as potential successors to Goodell?
We'll see, because I know the last time he got an extension, they talked about that was going to be his last deal. You keep paying somebody $50 million a year or more than that, then, they'll be happy to continue. Yeah, maybe I'll roll with this another, couple of years. I do know that Troy Vincent is another guy who is very high up the chain and is one of those guys that gets trotted out when they have issues to speak to the owners. Also, to conduct, like you said, the second round of the draft. And you don't know if there's somebody outside that they would bring in, but it's still a ways off for them, for the league. But I do imagine, because Roger Goodell, one thing that he has done is surround himself with people that they have grooming, that they're developing younger minds, creative minds, people that are behind the scenes that we don't necessarily know or see, but people that, eventually could wind up continuing to ascend and take over.
Mike Jones, senior NFL writer at The Athletic, with us here on the Hoffman Show. All right, let's go on the field or at least quasi on the field for a couple of things. Starting with where we ended our last segment, we're just kind of noting some of the injuries around the league, Mike. And this Deshaun Watson situation in Cleveland is weird. What do you know about it? What do you make of it? Where they just, at this point, announced today, like, yeah, we don't have a timetable for his return, even though they announced last week that everything structurally is fine with his shoulder.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that's odd, is that there's conflicting things. They say, oh, he's been medically cleared, and then the next day you hear that it's a rotator cuff issue. Having had a torn rotator cuff myself, I don't understand how they can say that you're medically cleared if there is a rotator cuff issue. And I understand why that's painful and why he's not able to go, but don't say that he's medically cleared if he actually has an issue.
Right.
So that's why it's so strange. He's saying he's day to day. They don't really know exactly when he's going to come back. I even asked a couple people inside the organization, dude, what's going on? And they themselves are a little bit in the dark. It sounds like it's a very tight circle as far as people who know exactly what the issue that he's dealing with is. It's not good if you're the Browns. I mean, you're paying this guy $230 million fully guaranteed, and he's not able to get onto the field, and you don't know exactly what the timetable is. It's looking like this deal once again is blowing up, backfiring in their face. Obviously, they're hoping that it's something that he can, recover from, and then get back by the hard time, when they're in the heart of the season. But really, you just don't know. And Baker Mayfield looked promising, and then he had that year where he had the issue with his shoulder, and things really just went south here. And now you've got your next quarterback that you've given a lot of money, and he's got a shoulder issue here. And we'll see how this thing plays out.
Other places with great defensive play so far this year are the two defending conference champions. Obviously, Cleveland's defense has been incredible. But in Philly, Kansas City, both defenses, I think, played pretty well. It's surprisingly the offenses that haven't really kept up. If you had to pick one of those two to get on track, like what do you see from each of them, and which one do you think is going to be most fine by the end of the year?
I think both of them will be fine. I've been on to a number of Eagles games as of late. And the thing about them is if their passing game isn't working, their run game is working. If the run game isn't really working, they do still have the ability to hit some big firework plays. They hurt themselves last week more than anything. Now, look, I won't take anything away from the Jets because now we've seen them. They've beaten the Buffalo, which is a very good offense, and now they've beaten Philly. So Robert Saleh, has a really good defense, and they have a lot of talent, and that's why people thought that if they had Aaron Rodgers, they were going to contend for a Super Bowl. But the Eagles, even though they're not 100% right, they still are among the league leaders in yards per game, passing yards per game. Their scoring is okay, even though their red zone offense isn't great. Their explosive plays have gone down just a little bit, but they still do have, the talent necessary. They have the defense, like you said, the defense of both of those teams. So I think it's just a matter of now you have a target on your back, and now teams know how to play you. So you have to continue to stay ahead of the curve. They also have a new offensive coordinator, Brian Johnson, who first-time play caller. So they're working out some kinks there, even though he knows the personnel and the system just fine. And then when you look over there in Kansas City, I think getting McCall Hardman, which they did in this trade today, will help them. They have Travis Kelce, obviously, but there's no other wide receiver in the top 50 on their team. So maybe Hardman, I'm not saying that he's going to light it up, but he is somebody that's reliable that Patrick Mahomes can go to if he can stay healthy. We saw him have productive years there, but injury kind of derailed him. So now that he's healthy again, maybe that'll help them. We have a little more time before the trade deadline, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and try to find another weapon for that offense. But look, it's Andy Reid, it's Patrick Mahomes. Great skill, great offensive mind combination, quarterback and coach. So I think that they'll get things figured out as well. The thing with them and the thing with the Eagles is they have quarterbacks that have the ability to be difference makers and get you instant offense. Maybe it's not consistent all the time, but they do. When you need them to make a big play, they can do that, and that's something you have to have. And so if you've got the great defenses like they do, it's a matter of time before they start clicking in high gear.
Mike Jones, senior NFL writer at The Athletic with us. Great perspective there. On the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube. Last thing I'll ask you, Mike, we obviously spend our days here trying to make sense of the Commanders' season, and while record-wise they're kind of exactly where most of us thought they'd be, how they've gotten there has been one winding, twisting road that has a lot of twists and turns that none of us expected. How do you try to make sense of the first 6 Commanders games this season?
Yeah, it's really interesting because you thought that the defense was going to be, something that, okay, you didn't have any questions about, but then there's kind of some ups and downs there. We weren't sure what to expect from Sam Howell. There have been bright spots there. Then there have been times where he looks like a young guy, and that's expected. Being at 500, it makes sense for right now. Where they are, like you said, we expected they were kind of be like that. I think the rest of the season, they're probably going to be kind of like this. They'll win a game that they should win. They'll lose a game against a tough team, maybe win a game they shouldn't win, lose a game that they should not have lost. I don't know exactly what the missing thing is, but it does feel like there's just something that's not quite there. I don't know if it's, the message, if it's or what it is. But
they got that down now, Mike. Do your job. No one's ever done that before.
Do your job. Wow, thank God that we can rip off Bill Belichick and have a slogan.
Of all years to rip off the hoodie, this is the one.
Right? And so I'm just kind of like, But when you look at Ron Rivera's record outside that 15-1 season, this is what his teams are.
Yeah.
They're right around 500, They play hard. They disappoint you. They tease you. But, they're just kind of 500-ish. So this might be what this team is, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It's exactly who I thought they'd be.
The bad part is being 500, you're not going to be in position to make a great draft pick, So either suck or be really good, one of the two. And, I don't think that's what they're going to be, either end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, being mediocre, not quite as in such a severe way as the NBA, but mediocrity does beget mediocrity. And yeah, the cycle's got to break eventually. I mean, what the most Ron Rivera, the most Commanders thing at this point to happen would be for them to lose to the Giants this weekend and then beat the Eagles the following weekend. Like that. That would be
anybody at all, right?
Yeah, that would be
Right.
perfect. Just chef's kiss, no notes. Congrats, Ron. You read the script.
Yeah, exactly.
All
so,
right.
hey, if we heard it here first, folks.
That's right. The Hoffman Show. You heard it here first from Mike Jones of The Athletic, where you can read many things first. Make sure you check out his work in The Athletic, where he is, of course, senior NFL writer. Mike, always great to catch up, man. Hopefully I'll catch you sometime. If you're at FedEx one of these days soon, I'm trying to get back out to more games this year. So hopefully I'll see you out there.
I'll be at that Eagles game. So
Okay, I should see you then.
Forward to seeing you. All
Great.
right, sounds good, man.
All right, man. I'll see you then. Mike Jones with us here on The Hoffman Show. Just A-plus quality dude who you guys, of course, been listening to since he was on the Commanders beat for the Washington Post back in the day. I was fortunate enough to share the room, if you will, with Jonesy for a long time. Great to have him back on the show. When we get back here on the Hoffman Show, we will react to some of what Mike said and take a little bit more listening to Sam Howell's comments from earlier in the day before we get to your comments from the internet. Bum, bum, bum. Never read the comments. Coming at 5:30 here on the Hoffman Show. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube. Of course, if you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. That way you get all of our show highlights and the little nice alert that you get when we go live every day. Of course, we're live all 3 hours each and every day on the Team 980's YouTube page. For the Hoffman Show, we're also live on the weekends for the Take Command pregame show, 10 a.m. each and every Sunday. And then we do a Take Command postgame show that's live, not on the radio, but only on YouTube. And then, of course, available via podcast on Sunday nights as well. We'll get to Never Read the Comments coming up in just a little bit. But, Anthony, I say we dive into some of the Sam Howell sound, more of that. And in a moment, we'll get to him talking about two of his receivers. One who a lot of people are very happy with, and one who a lot of people are not very happy with / confused by. But I was curious, this bite caught my eye as well. There's all this narrative talk, and we'll definitely touch on this and Never Read the Comments, about Howell and what he is. And everyone seems to want to take what he is right now and say that's who he is and will forever be. But this is a young player who is improving. So Sam Howell, on what he's seen on tape, that shows that he is actually improving at this stage of his very young career.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm making better decisions. More consistently, I would say, and I'm playing more efficient ball, and I just got to continue to grow and get better, and continue to try to limit the sacks, and avoiding those negative plays. Just because when you have a sack on a drive, most of the time it'll kill the drive. I think we've done a decent job making up for it this year, but that's going to continue to be harder as we move forward. So yeah, I mean, always trying to clean up the sacks and do my job to limit that number. Obviously, it's gotten up there so far this year, but I just got to continue to get better and try to avoid those situations. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a lot of good stuff as an offense that we put on tape that we can continue to build on.
Here's the thing that makes this so weird to talk about is I agree. They have done so many good things, and down in, down out. I don't know if I said this on this show, or I think I said it with Linnell last night on his show on Overtime. But if you could take, let's say there was a scout or a coach or someone that we cryogenically froze in 2018. That had all the NFL knowledge that you need to break down tape. But we unfroze him and we're like, hey, we got this guy named Sam Howell in Washington. We want to get your unbiased opinion on him because he was in high school when you got frozen back in 2018. What a weird bit we're doing here. But let's just run with it, right? And you gave him a cut up and you said these are all of his plays, but you didn't tell him you omitted the sacks. What do you think that guy would say?
He looked really good.
Yeah, oh my God, you guys, what round did you draft him in? This guy's seems a little short, but I think he might go to the Hall of Fame. He'd be like, wow, this guy's incredible. Maybe not Hall of Fame, but he's playing really well. He really, really has a great arm. He seems to be accurate. He's late on a couple of things. Is he young? Oh, he's a young guy? Yeah, that makes sense. But he's not making the same mistake twice. Oh, okay. We omitted the sacks. Oh, that won't take long. I just got, how many games is this? 6, 7? 6 and 6 this season? How long is it going to take for me to watch that? Can't be that many plays. You're 34. He's like, oh my God!
34 is crazy.
What? 34 sacks in 6 games? What the hell?
That's almost 6 a game.
Yeah. He's like, I watched all these other snaps. I didn't think the O-line was bad. And then you tell me, they're not. Watch. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's the thing. It's so good. And then he's got this one flaw that's literally one of the worst things you can do outside of turning the ball over in the NFL as a quarterback. And he's the worst in the league. So I do feel like he's gotten better overall in his decision-making. I do feel like he's continuing to gel with his receivers and find and create plays. But and they've done pretty well in the red zone, all things considered. But damn, they've got to figure this sack thing out for his sake and for theirs. And that's also going to continue to be the trust that he has with his receivers. Of course, he was asked about Jahan Dotson. And I saw my guy, maybe we might have to go cross pond tomorrow. We might have to get Mark Bullock on because he did a deeper dive into Jahan Dotson. And Mark does a great job breaking down on the tape. And he just goes, look, I do not think that I think people are making too much of the Dotson thing. But I think people expected him to grow, and realistically, his stats are not that different from what they were last year, play for play in terms of some of the advanced numbers, in terms of his target percentage, in terms of his catches. So how do they get him involved more and see that growth in year 2? Here's how on Dotson.
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, our plan is to always spread the ball around to all those guys. We want to utilize all the talent that we have. But at the same time, you really never know how the flow of the game is going to go. And, yeah, I mean, throughout the game, you obviously kind of who's been getting the ball, who hasn't, and especially after the game. Like, I don't think Jahan had a catch. And so just going to him and just continue to tell him that I trust him. And it's really not anything that he's doing. It's just kind of a flow of the game type thing. It wasn't that Jahan wasn't in the game plan. It's just more of, the plays that were called at that certain time and kind of what looks they gave on certain plays kind of dictates where the ball goes. And it's kind of just one of those unlucky things for Jahan. But, we trust Jahan. He's a hell of a player. And I'm going to continue to try to do everything I can to get him the ball, just like all our guys. But, yeah, I mean, the good news is there's been no complaints from anybody. I mean, obviously, I'm sure everybody wants the ball more, but at the end of the day, they just want to win. So that's the good thing.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to continue to find him. And I think the problem, too, is, this is an offense that gets tight ends more involved. And I don't know that EB's used to spreading the ball around to all these receivers. And Logan Thomas is also a good player. So, hey, let's call the stuff that we know works and get the ball to Logan Thomas. Okay, cool. Let's make sure that the one guy that we really feature is Terry because we're paying him $70 million to be awesome. And boy, is he awesome. That's not to say we have to justify our investment. It's we should get the ball to our best player, and he wears 17. So they've done a better job of getting him the ball. Curtis has a very particular set of skills, and they have done a good job of using those well. And at that point, oh, by the way, we got to get B-Rob the ball. Oh, by the way, we got to get Gibson the ball. Oh, by the way, we definitely want to get Chris Rodriguez a couple carries because he seems to run people over, and that's cool. How many snaps are left? At some point, Jahan's just the odd guy out, and you're going, why did you spend that draft pick on him? And that's not because Jahan isn't awesome. It's because there is only one football. And unless they start getting better on first and second down, and unless they start then converting more third downs, then there's not going to be the snaps to go around. But I think the good thing is like Sam said at the end there, Jahan is well built mentally to handle this. And you can trust him in big situations, a la the end of the Eagles game. Anthony, do you remember who caught the game-tying touchdown to send the game to overtime?
Mr. Jahan Dotson?
Yeah. Seems to still be trustworthy. So if I'm EB, I'm trying to get him in a little bit more of a rhythm. I'm trying to get maybe one of those early touches that I'm getting Terry to Jahan, see if he can get a feel for the game, and then see what happens kind of the rest of the day. Now, he is playing Sam is having great success throwing the ball to Curtis Samuel. Here is Sam on number 4.
Yeah, Curtis is a really good player, and he has such a unique skill set where he's so fast and he can get in and out of breaks so easily. And he puts a lot of pressure on the defense when he's running routes, and I think he can do so many different things, whether it's stretch the field vertically or quick shake routes or quick option routes, stuff like that. He has such a unique skill set that allows him to be put in certain situations, and he's done a good job when the balls come his way. So he's someone that will continue to try to get more and more involved.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. And the good thing is unlike Jahan, and to an extent Terry, Curtis is going to get touches because there's certain plays that are game plan touches, right? That little shovel pass, we're going to get that. They're going to put Curtis in Wildcat like they did in one play last game. They're going to line him up in the backfield. They're going to use Curtis Samuel for very specific stuff, and Sam's did a good job of executing that, as has Curtis. All right, when we get back on the Hoffman Show, it is time for Never Read the Comments. They get real Icarus-y, to go back to your Greek mythology days. You remember the story of Icarus, Anthony?
Not quite, Frank.
What do they teach you at Georgetown Prep? Icarus, the guy who flies too close to the sun.
Nope.
What do they teach you at Georgetown? Anthony, I think you just put your job at risk at Georgetown Prep.
Why?
There's no way that they did not teach you the story of Icarus at Georgetown Prep.
We actually did a lot of Greek mythology, though. We didn't talk about Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Yes, you did. You don't remember it. I feel very confident. Who can we call
it's okay.
at Prep
I'm
to confirm this?
I will just do that right now, actually.
Okay. I would like you to ask someone of authority. Do we teach about Icarus?
2 hours later.
Did we ever check in on that, Anthony?
Yeah, my classmates actually texted me and said, "Yeah, we've done it."
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to figure out where you were on that day of class at a later date.
You're right.
Last night, Arina Sabalenka makes the U.S. Open final, the Belarusian player, and here's how it sounded on Belarusian television.
Арина Соболенко! Ваму, 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 ваму! Что Арина недостойна звания первой ракетки мира.
Yeah.
Получите! Распишитесь!
Oh, yeah.
Rising up, back on the street. Did my time, took my chances. When the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive. So many times it happens too fast.
Oh, keep
You
going.
change your passion for glory. It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the night. Rising up to the challenge of a rival. And they lost, no survival. Все, ребята, я сдулся.
10 out of 10. No notes. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Just after 5:30 on a Wednesday means it is time to take a dive into the deepest, darkest part of the internet, the comments section.
We tried to warn them. They didn't listen.
Yeah!
Every week, the Hoffman Show goes into the belly of the beast.
We read those comments, baby.
Never read the comments.
All right, it is that time. Here's how this works. We post the highlights of the show on the Team 980's YouTube page. We also post them on my YouTube page, at Craig Hoffman, where you can leave your comments, and then we collect the ones that we think are most interesting. I don't want to say the best necessarily. I don't want to say necessarily the worst, or they just are the ones that we think make for the best fodder, bring up an interesting point, bring up an interesting thought in my head to make a point. And then we respond to them live here on the radio, 5:30 on Wednesdays. Would love for you to join us live on YouTube or, of course, on your radio or the free Odyssey app. Anthony, this will stun you, but there was a lot of reaction to the segment with Linnell yesterday. It probably didn't hurt that we perhaps are a little guilty of a clickbaity headline. Linnell said it. What did you want me to do? Not use it?
I don't know.
I would say this. I would tell anybody who's mad at the headline to listen to the segment.
Yep.
All we did was ask a question. I hate that line so much. If someone else said that, I would rip them to shreds. We clickbaited you. I'm sorry. I'm going to own up to it. But Linnell said something that was, I thought, an overreaction and a bad headline, but actually an interesting take when you look at it. That question headline is Sam Howell holding the Commanders' offense back? On its surface, the answer is no. But let's dive into the comments and unpack it a little bit. Steven469 says, what an odd take after 6 to 7 games. Dude has done nothing but improve and make some high-level throws. If the sack issue continues, then I understand, but it's too early. Some of these also, actually, I think that one was in response to the Eric Eager segment when he said he's a backup, but kind of the same thing, right? Yeah, it's too early to make a definitive long-term declaration on Sam Howell. But if the sack issue, to say all he's done is improve, like, except for in one area that could end his career as a meaningful starter in the NFL. Like, that is a pretty big deal. He's still, I mean, he's taken 5 sacks the last couple weeks, and we're like, whew, that's better than what happened a couple weeks ago. That's not good. That is definitely not good. Situationally, some of those sacks have been really damaging. Like, he's got to get that figured out. But hopefully he will, because it is still early in his NFL career. It is 6/7, this year, the Dallas start in. So we'll see how that goes. At GBRV8IM says, I say you've got to get a better handle for me to read on the radio. But anyway, that person says, Sam Howell is basically a rookie. Sacks are not all Sam Howell's fault. Wide receivers have been having problems getting separation. The O-line is not that great. Give Sam a season before he's branded a backup. I'm an old guy, and I like what Sam has done operating in a new offense. Give him time to grow and get some experience in the NFL. Yes, he is a young guy. The receivers have had some issues, but, like, they had 5 sacks on Sunday, and 4 of them were 100% on Sam. It could just work. Like, he says set hut, the ball's in his hands. There's receivers open when the ball is supposed to come out, and he doesn't throw it. And then he steps up into a silly place and right into a defensive lineman. He can't figure out how to escape the pocket. Like, there's a multitude of issues that all are very interrelated. And it's mostly on him. But he is a young guy, so we'll see. And I do like 90% of his game. So I think that's probably worth mentioning and keeping in mind. All right. Silly Goose 2023 says, every team, this one's definitely on Linnell's, every team's quarterback is holding their team back to some degree if his name isn't one of the big 5. I think that's also a very good point. And Silly Goose, this will stun you, Anthony. Silly Goose often makes some very silly points. Silly Goose is a frequent commenter. And often I respond to his silly comments by going, you're a silly commenter, Silly Goose. This was a good point by Silly Goose. Like, this is the league to some extent. There's going to be moments in every game where even the top 5 guys, even the greats. I remember years ago watching tape of a Commanders or a Washington Patriots game and watching Brady miss stuff. And you're like, whoa, maybe I should be lighter on Kirk Cousins when he misses a deep ball because Tom Brady just missed one too. Oh. Because here's the thing about, like, dirty secret about the NFL. Every play is designed to work. If you execute a play perfectly, 95% of them are designed to get touchdowns if you hit the exact thing you want. And the rest of them have ways to get touchdowns. Like, oh, this is kind of designed to be a 12-yard out route. But if you hit it just right against the right coverage, you can, and you just slip one tackle, like you got people in position to block downfield, perhaps to clear the safety and get the next touchdown. Get the touchdown in the end. Like, every play is designed to work perfectly. And very few of them do on the perfect scale. The goal really is for it to work well enough to get the yardage desired on any given play. And so how consistently your quarterback reads it right and makes an accurate throw is kind of how this works. And the Patrick Mahomes and the Josh Allens and the Drew Breeses and the Tom Brady's and the Peyton Mannings, they do that at an exceptionally high rate. Other quarterbacks, their undoing is the high-profile mistakes. A guy like Howell, for instance, sacks that just kill you, and others are more of just like, oh, you just miss a throw. It's just like, it's not good enough. They don't take catastrophic plays, but they just don't make enough good ones to really make an offense work. So I think that's a good point by the one and only Silly Goose. Then, Anthony, we had this. Comment fight!
There was a people fighting in the comments?
Oh, yeah. This is some of my favorites. This actually, I don't know if this was a fight. This is just like two dudes fighting. This was like First Take or whatever that Fox show is in the comments. Back and forth. But I think it's interesting, and I think we should go into it. So Doker 3340 says, Craig, some of our fans have thought since day one we got some monster franchise steal of the draft, probably because he played locally at UNC. I don't know how local UNC is, but we'll leave that for another day. It wasn't really based on reality. Sam Howell wasn't a first-round pick. He is a fifth-round pick who is bottom third in the league. Of course he is holding us back, and ask yourself how many teams would swap QB for QB with us. And then, I'm not making this up, Wham Bam 21. Wham Bam! Pow! Comes in. I wouldn't swap Sam with. And then he lists 13 quarterbacks. Anthony, I think we should go through them one by one.
Let's go.
All right. Would you trade Sam? And I'm going to say contract included. Contract, age, all a factor. Sam for Jimmy G.
No.
Give me Sam. Ritter, Jimmy G.
Sam.
Jordan Love.
Sam.
I would take Jordan Love.
Okay.
Although it's really close, and you do have to pay Love next year, so maybe not. Justin Fields.
That one's interesting.
It's super interesting.
I'd
probably take Fields.
He's on his last year? Or he's in his contract year?
Does he have one more? I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, that.
But even then, like if you give me Fields and Bieniemy,
I think I'm going with Fields.
I think I'd go with Fields. Bryce Young. Give me Bryce. I know he's been awful.
Yeah, Bryce
but
is just so young.
He was a number 1 overall pick this year. Daniel Jones.
But he also has a big contract, so I think I go.
Bryce?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. He's the first overall pick. He's on a rookie deal.
It's still like $30 million.
No, it's $30 million total.
Oh, it's total.
Yeah, no, not per year.
I was about to say.
No, he's like 30 total.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, Bryce Young.
All right.
I'm not going to let you say something that silly.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones.
Sam.
Correct. Kyler Murray.
Interesting.
If he's healthy, Kyler,
I
even
think
with
I'm
the
going-
contract, but I don't know, so I'm going to take Sam. I also don't really love Kyler as a leader, so there, I said it.
Yep.
Sam. Zach Wilson.
Sam.
Kenny Pickett.
Sam.
Russell Wilson.
Sam.
Tannehill.
Sam.
Derek Carr.
Sam
because of contract, although that one's a harder sell. And if you're a veteran team, I'd take Derek Carr. This team, give me Sam Howell. So we're still there on like 10 or 11 of those 13. So I think we're with Wham Bam 21 here. Oh, Wham Bam. Sorry, Doker. What a silly segment this is. As if Doker wasn't enough. Again, it's too stupid to make up. The next handle that I have down, Johnny Donnie. John Donnie 443. I wonder if he's a Syracuse person. 443. Remember all campus numbers started with 443?
That or 315.
Well, 315 is the area code. So it was 315-443.
Oh, yep.
Yada, yada, yada.
Dang,
Z89's calling numbers. 315-443-4487. So remember that one.
You should call in sometime.
Maybe I will. I'll request a song on my college radio station. The sacks are due to essentially a rookie QB, an O-line that is still gelling, a new OC who has not found a balance and needs to scheme up ways to help his young QB out as he develops. Matt Ryan was constantly saying there is no one open. The blame falls on all of them. They will figure it out. Sam will come out the other side. A damn good QB. Only a slack-jawed pinhead would move off Sam for a career journeyman. Please. A slack-jawed pinhead, Anthony. Damn. Harsh. This was like my biggest piece of pushback on the way Linnell phrased his take. Linnell brought up, it was like bad headline, good article. Many, many good points by Linnell. But to me, when you phrase it as like this quarterback is holding the offense back, it presents as if there's another option that is better. And Linnell agreed with me that Jacoby Brissett would present a different set of challenges that would ultimately be a worse result for this offense. He would not take as many sacks. And I think that's an important point to point out. If we isolate all the way down just into one thing, the sacks would come down if Jacoby Brissett was in. He gets rid of the ball faster. He's a veteran. He knows where to go, and he probably throws with more anticipation. So, because of that, it is further evidence. It should cement the fact, as long as you agree with that, which if you don't, I guess it's your prerogative because we don't have the two situations 100% playing out in front of us, but they do have that in Carolina, where Andy Dalton came in and took less sacks than Bryce Young behind the same exact O-line, and there is mountains of data throughout NFL history that sacks are a quarterback-driven sack. So just take my word for it because that's what the information says. Jacoby would take less sacks, and it should show you just how good this line is pass protection-wise, or how good they've been this year. But he would not make some of the throws that Sam is throwing. Like the touchdown to Terry a couple weeks ago against the Broncos. Are you kidding me? Jacoby's not making that throw. Jacoby's got a great arm, but that's a Sam Howell throw. The throw to Bates up the sideline. Some of these other throws on the move that are just crazy. I mean, the one that Jahan drops last week. Jacoby's not making that throw. Sam is. Hopefully next time Jahan will catch it. But Sam is the best guy for this offense that they could possibly have right now. There's no one they could trade for. There's no one that they could call up from the practice squad, Jake Fromhive. There's no backup in Jacoby. They couldn't have kept Taylor Heineke and had to be better. So all the Taylor Heineke stands that I just will never acknowledge in this segment directly, even though you guys can't stop leaving stupid comments on these videos. Sam's the best guy that they could have possibly had for this season. And hopefully he'll continue to get better. As far as the O-line goes, had some other thoughts on that. King of PKF, I think my issue with the line is despite how well they've pass blocked, they've been mediocre to bad at run blocking most of these games. The best two run blocking games were against Buffalo in the defensive sets, where they dared them to run, and the Broncos, who allowed 5 TDs rushing to the Dolphins. They get no push in the run game, which means our offense gets predictable because nobody is scared of 2 to 3 yards rushing. Here's the thing about their run game. Logan goes mega deep on this on Take Command that's out now, and we might even play some of this for you next. I can't remember which segment we picked for the radio show today. But we have all been trained, you run to set up the pass. You got to run the football early, and then that'll bring the safeties up and open up play action shots. That's not how this team works. That is not how the Andy Reid tree of West Coast offense operates. You pass to set up the run. And so a game like Arizona, where they ran it well in the second half, a game like Denver, where they ran it well in the second half, is the actual plan. And look, this is taking me some time to get used to as well, and I don't know that philosophically I fully agree with it, if I'm being totally honest, but I'm me, and Eric Bieniemy's got Super Bowl rings, so I'm just going to have to get used to it. I think both philosophies can work. This isn't the approach I would take if I was an OC, but I understand why it works. The thought is, if you can pass early and get easy completions, eventually teams will start to dedicate more. One, the pass game is more efficient and more explosive, so hopefully you'll score and be up in the game. And two, they'll start to dedicate more resources to the pass and give you easy rushing yards later in the game. So how does that mesh with having a young quarterback who can be greatly benefited by having some of the mental load taken off of him with an effective run game? That's the question. And by the way, this team is better running the football per carry than many of you seem to realize. And that's, I get it. People are busy. You're going off what it feels like. And they're only averaging 87 yards rushing a game. So it feels really bad. But Chris Rodriguez snapped off a double-digit yard carry, and Antonio Gibson had a nice solid 9-yarder, and B-Rob had a couple of nice little 4, 5, 6, 7-yard chunks. And the reality is they're averaging 4.3 a carry, and Sam's rushes have helped that. Some of the off-schedule stuff, of course, has helped that, but they're averaging 4.3 a carry in total. They've had some explosive runs. So how do they get more of those and keep the balance and still be who they want to be from an identity standpoint? This is not a team that is built to run the football from how their offense is installed. And so I think that when people criticize the O-line for that, I don't really actually think it's that much of an O-line issue. Like, yeah, of course they could block better. Like, no one should be in the analyst world trying to tell you that this O-line is actually as good as Philly. It's just that they're not as bad. Like, if you want to see bad O-line play, watch what happens with the Giants this weekend. Or there needs to be real significant changes on the defensive line, staff. Like, something needs to change if the Commanders' defense does not dominate up front this weekend. The Giants' O-line is, like, abysmally terrible. Watch them play, and then go watch. And I know they played better against Buffalo as a team, but, like, watch the Giants' O-line, then watch the Commanders, and understand the difference. That's what I would say. IRJ, oh no, we went the wrong direction. Where did that comment go? IRJ7191 says, in response to the video, our interview with Michael Phillips, who said during the interview, and I actually wonder if Michael would backtrack on this, having had a chance to watch the tape now, but based off of what happened, and part of this was like just reading the fan base, right? But Michael did say in the interview, hey, Jack Del Rio's lucky they won that game, because otherwise I wonder if he's going to get fired. But IRJ7191 says, I can't figure this fan base or this area media out. I'm not a fan of Ron or Del Rio, but this team went on the road and just beat a very talented Falcons team. Ritter may not be a good quarterback yet, but he has talented players surrounding him. His starting receivers and tight ends are over the height of 6'2", plus they have very good running backs. Was anyone expecting a blowout? The defense gave up yardage, but had 3 interceptions. The only problem I had in the game was that our offense went cold in the second half, and Howell continues to hold the ball too long. I actually think that's like way more accurate than a lot of people think. A lot of people think this defense really struggled against Atlanta. And like, yeah, they gave up some yardage, but they were on the field forever because the offense was terrible in the second half. They were in 3rd and long constantly and could not convert. And because of that, Atlanta ran 79 plays. They averaged 5.1 yards a play, which is league average. And because they ran 79 plays, that was good for 400 yards. That's what happened. Like, could they have gotten off the field faster? Sure, defensively. But they also, like, the other thing that I think people get twisted is they think that this defense is, like, built to be some freakishly dominant unit that just crushes people all the time. And I think reputationally, that's who they want you to think they are. But they're a bend but don't break unit, the way they call it. And they played that perfectly on Sunday because they knew Desmond Ritter, when it came to crunch time, couldn't beat him. And that's exactly what happened. I did think this was a very interesting point by Luck5099. Maybe if Jack was calling the defense that way aggressively, like he did on Sunday with some of the extra pressures, Forbes might have got off to a better start. That is an interesting thing. It is something I think we should monitor this week if he's back and Kendall Fuller is out. He did miss Wednesday, Fuller with a knee injury, so we'll see if we can get an update on that. But Forbes is a guy that, with pressure, that ability to jump routes and anticipate is going to become way more dangerous. So it is something where they played a lot. He didn't seem to have those opportunities, I would say, earlier in the year. Did it, I think in the Denver game and had a pick. So we'll see. And then comment of the week. Typically we do a silly slash just terribly dumb comment, Anthony. But this one was actually a good comment. We had our guy DA, David Aldridge, on, the Hall of Famer from the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, who's now writing locally about all the teams for The Athletic. And Vanta Black 9535 said, if media members had stats, DA would be Brian Mitchell.
Wow. That's high praise.
That is. But that's true. Actually, here's how I was like, how do I phrase this? It doesn't sound like a shot at B. Mitch, because I'm not trying to take a shot at B. Mitch. That is true, which is why B. Mitch should also be in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. What are we doing? The man has the second most all-purpose yards in the history of the sport. That seems very silly. Because, I know this point is to score, but, like, getting a lot of yardage is important. And there's one dude ever who had more yards in the NFL. And Brian Mitchell, don't ever forget it. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Anthony, I forgot to double check with you. Dave bumped back 15 minutes?
Yes, he did.
Okay. With the slightly later tip time tonight, Dave Johnson on a Wizards game day at 6:30 for Dave Johnson. Up next, it is time for Take Command, Film Breakdown Edition. on a Wednesday edition of the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, and always live on the free Odyssey app. Final hour here on a Wednesday. It really feels like a Thursday, but it's okay. We're got the final hour, and then tomorrow's Thursday, and before you know it, it'll be Friday. Here on the Team 980, streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980 as well. It is time for Take Command on this Wednesday. Our tape review podcast, one of our more popular shows, if I do say so myself, that comes out Wednesday mornings in your favorite podcast platform. We'll give you a little snippet here on the radio. So here is Logan Paulson and I diving a little bit deeper into the Commanders game against the Falcons and trying to explain some of the things that went right and wrong this past Sunday. Take Command podcast from Odyssey Sports. Craig Hoffman here, Logan Paulson there. We are together at Tap Sports Bar, MGM National Harbor, each and every Commanders game day. Come hang out with us 3 hours prior to kick. I guess you can hang out in person 2 hours prior, but the show starts at 10 a.m. Sunday, Tap Sports Bar. You can watch it on YouTube. You can listen on the free Odyssey app, or of course on your radio on 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980, the Take Command pregame show. All right, to the offense, Logan. I almost want to just do this in halves. That's at least from a production standpoint is how we should divide this up. Is like, what happened in the first half? Good. What happened in the second half? Bad. Before we dive into that, though, is the process reflective of that? Is there a good process in the first half, bad process in the second half, or did Atlanta just start playing better? Like, what changed half to half before we dive into the details of how it went down?
Yeah, I mean, I do think I'd have to go back, and I wish I would have done this before the show started. I watched the game. So what I do, the way when I'm breaking down the game, is I watch literally every play, and I make notes on every single play. Right. And as
you watch all the offense in a row. It's not like you go offense, defense, defense like it does in a real game. You watch all the offense in a row.
All the offense in a row, all the defense in a row. And it's funny because you're looking at plays, right? You're looking like why a single play didn't work, and sometimes you forget to look at themes for the game. But high level, what I would say, and I have to go back and double check this, so don't quote me on it, is I felt like in the second half, I thought there was a little bit of a conservative tone to EB's play calling in the sense that we were running the ball a lot on first down, and it kind of set us up in certain situations that weren't the most advantageous. But I also think, and again, that's not a criticism because I do think we want them to run the ball more. And I think you trying to run the ball more, you're trying to get that going. Atlanta did a good job kind of shutting that down.
Yeah, but especially once you go up 24-10.
Right. But I will say I think Atlanta came out and ran a lot more two-man. And it really – there was a couple times where Sam took, I think, 2 sacks in the second half where, he's got time, but there's nobody open. Like the concept's completely covered. So that's something that I would say they made an adjustment at halftime where they were like, let's go two-man. Let's make sure that we're blanketing these concepts. And it really made it harder for Sam to throw the football. And in the first half, I thought they did a great job. Atlanta was playing a little bit more softer coverages, softer zones. And I think you see the result of Sam just being able to kind of pick them apart is maybe a strong word, but that's the word that comes to mind. He just felt more comfortable finding throws, finding matchups, and delivering the football. So that would be high level kind of what I think was the biggest difference between the first and second half from an Atlanta perspective.
Yeah. So if starting on because it's really not the entire first half. The last drive was
like the 2-minute drive, right?
The 2-minute drive has the 2 sacks on it. And it starts off with a sack, actually. So it's sack, screen. There goes that. They come out in the second half. They get, obviously, the quick screenplay to they actually did run it on first down, and then they get a screenplay to B-Rob where he just runs through the guy's chest, which I thought was hilarious. Like to watch a running back have the choice of going around left, going around right, or running straight through another human being, and watching him pick, let me put my helmet down and go straight through this guy's numbers was chef's kiss. Perfect.
Yeah, it was great.
So you got that. And then from that point on, they actually, the next drive starts well. The next drive was the Chris Rodriguez drive.
I thought Chris Rodriguez came out and ran hard, yeah.
Yeah, they go run, and then things go haywire from there because they get 2 big ones, first down, 7 and then 13. And then they run it again a third straight time on first down, 1-yarder. Now you're in second and 9.
Can we talk about that for 1 second? So first off, great job by Chris Rodriguez. It's so funny. I know he doesn't get the ball a lot, but on those 2 runs, I got shades of Marshawn Lynch, just how physical he is, his contact balance. And I think they probably are pretty fired up about him too. So great job by him on those 2 runs. the third run in that series, Atlanta's like, cool, let's put 12 guys in the box. Good luck. And then it's like there's unblocked people in the hole. So that's where like it's so hard as a play caller, but you're like, we got to run the ball. Where the offensive line's getting confident, we're effective, but you do need to get out of it at some point. You need to kind of just throw something else so that Atlanta can't do that. They can't come up with 9 guys in the box, have a free runner to the back in the hole. So that's something that I would say is like, yes, good. Now they know that you know, or you know that they know you're going to run the ball. So what we have that is low risk, that gives us a good opportunity, and then we can hit that play and then come back to running the football, just to kind of unsettle their focus a little bit, so you're not playing 9-on-7 on that third play there. So that was something that I thought like, and it happens every single week in every single game in the NFL. A coordinator gets in a rhythm with something and they like it, and then all of a sudden it just blows up in their face. So that was one where I was like, man, would have loved just something a little bit different there after that long explosive run. But, things happen.
And of course, then you get a little baby play action. Sam runs for a yard because nothing. That's right. He can't find anything. And then on 3rd and 8, he takes a sack.
Yeah.
And on
that sack specifically, they are in like full 2-man mode. There's nowhere to go with the ball. And that's where fans are like, well, if there's nowhere to go from the ball, like, how does he not take a sack? But I think about, Kirk Cousins. I think about guys that I've played with who are excellent at this. Either they're throwing guys open or they're throwing the ball away, and they're not taking sacks. They're not leveraging the O-line that way. And I think also, I think the concept, you mentioned this briefly, like making sure the checkdowns are getting out. That's got to be a bigger point of emphasis versus type of coverage structure. Because there were times where the back's not quite out in the route yet. And that's one of the disadvantages of having a bunch of chip help, is you lose that that ability to kind of spread the defense and get that opportunity to check the football down. But that was a one where I was like, man, there's not a lot of room here for him to throw this football. So
yeah, I want to circle back to that in a second. So let's put a pin in that and come back to it. Just to finish the play calling, like sequencing thought. So now we're at the beginning of the fourth quarter. After Atlanta goes on the 12-play, 81-yard drive, they come out. They get the quick short shallow cross to Terry. He breaks a tackle, is pushed out of bounds after an 18-yard gain. And then it's Robinson left 3 yards. Robinson right, no gain, incomplete, off the field.
And that's another two-man. Yeah, great coverage is my note there. So
they try a deep shot on first down off a heavy formation. Trent Scott actually in the game there as an eligible. They try incomplete deep left, and then they come right back, run it. Now you're in 3rd and 10. Howell sacked. Last drive of the game that they have.
That one also 2-man, nowhere to go with the ball like that. I'm not kidding. Like that, to me, that's maybe the biggest difference is like on all of these drives. I didn't even realize it, but now we're going through it. All of them end in a 2-man situation, and there's very tight windows for Sam to throw the football. So
yeah, and then they try to run the ball again, and it doesn't go very far, and they're in bad down to distance situations. And I think that to me is like one of the common themes that I've started to notice over the last couple of weeks on these sacks. He's not taking a lot of sacks on like 1st and 10. He's taking sacks in obvious passing situations. And at that point, I do wonder about some of the play calls at times where it's like, are you trying to get it all at once? Especially when it's like 2nd and long. 3rd and long is a little bit of a different story. Are you trying to get it all at once? Are you trying to get it all through the air? Like, are you trying to get everything with air at someone loose? Like, you just got 18 yards shallow cross. Like, let's get Terry the ball quickly and see what he do. Are you leveraging the proper chip help? But you go back and watch the individual plays, like we did a couple of these sacks, and you're just like, holy crap, Sam, what are you looking at, man? Like, you have guys open where there's in the first half, one of the sacks, like he's looking for a big play down the field. Samuel is lined up in the backfield. He tries to get out. If you play Madden, red zone scissors is probably the closest concept that you'll get to this, where they run the guy out of the backfield and try to run him to the corner as Jahan has a post. And Curtis gets hit twice before he's 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, and the timing's way off. But Terry's open on a, I don't know if it's a shallow cross. I'm more like 8 to 10.
I'd say shallow. On the concept, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's on a crossing route, and Terry's open, and I don't know why Sam doesn't throw it. Another one later that we looked at, he's got a dig route that's wide open in timing, and he's looking right at it, and you're like, dude, throw it.
That, yeah.
And so it's the kind of thing where I think as a coordinator, you're looking at the film and you're going, I love my play call. Like, dude's wide open.
Yeah.
My quarterback's just got to throw it. But if it keeps happening, I think at some point you have to go back like, okay, does he not see some of these concepts well? What can I do to make it easier? Do I need to, when I give him the play call in his ear, be like, hey, man, like whatever it is. And we obviously don't know that communication, and we don't know what Sam likes, what EB likes to give, like all those kinds of things. But you start to ask yourself as a coach, the same thing keeps happening. What can I do differently? Because even if it's open, we're not executing. And at that point, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you made me think of something when you were talking about, like, we get in all these third and long situations. If you look at their effective drives, so the first drive of the game, their first third down is 3rd and 9. It's a completion to Curtis on a swirl route, so like a corner back to a comeback type deal, and it's a tough throw, high difficulty level. The next third down is 3rd and 9. He rolls out of the pocket, Sam does, and throws a ball to 17. Great play, vacates a clean pocket, but that's a conversation for another day, right? The next drive is a 6-play, 6 and out, and then the punt return happens, and they have the flip pass, all that stuff, and then they kind of get in this weird sequence where it's not like where they're. So I guess my point is they converted 3rd and long on the first drive for points. And then when they had to convert 3rd and long in the second half, they couldn't do it. So, this is all coming to my brain in the moment. But Kyle used to say something which I thought was really interesting. He was like, I don't care about third down efficiency. And I was like, Kyle, what are you talking about? Come on. Everyone cares about third down efficiency. That's like the most important stat in offensive football. And he goes, I care about first and second down efficiency, because then I'm not in third down, or I'm in a manageable third down, and then my efficiency goes through the roof. And I was like, and I know that's pretty obvious, like to people who aren't in a locker room, but you spend, and I'm talking like this is every team I was with, the Bears, Houston, Atlanta, not San Francisco, obviously. When I was here with Jay and Sean, you spend so much time talking about third down efficiency. We got to be efficient on third down. We got to be efficient on third down. We got to be, and that's like every day you wake up, it's like someone's hitting you in the face with that. But for someone to be like, no, we got to be more efficient on first down. We got to make this run that we've been repping all week get us to 5 yards, 2nd and 5, and then we can get, the next play we like, and we're never in third down, or we're in always 3rd and short. Like, that's something that in this game specifically, think about it. If they're a little bit more efficient on first down throughout the game, I don't think we're even talking about offensive kind of inefficiency in the second half of this game. It's when you get in these third and long situations where it's like high leverage, and they've been great. I think if you look at their statistics, they've been great in third and long, from a completion percentage standpoint, from a production standpoint. Obviously, they're taking a lot of sacks too, which is going to bring that metric down. But I think that's something in this game specifically, first and second down, like, could we have been better? And I would say probably yes. Like, just when you were going through that sequence, it's like run, 3-yard gain, run again, 3rd and 7. Don't want to be in 3rd and 7. We need something to make us more efficient there. And I think that's what you saw in the Philly game, was a much more efficient second down game plan that led to better production on third down. So just wanted to bring that up quickly.
All right, that from Take Command, of course, our podcast here from Odyssey Sports, the Team 980, 106.7 The Fan. That is who we are, Odyssey Sports. And Logan Paulson, it's me. It's 3 times a week, and you can get it anywhere you get your podcast. Tomorrow, also, we kind of do like 5 episodes a week. It's really 3 full ones, but then we do what we call Take 5, where we dive a little bit deeper into one thing for about 5 minutes, and then on Thursday we do story time. Anthony, Logan might be the only Washington player who actually likes MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Unusual.
I hate it. That place sucks.
Yeah.
But Logan has a fondness for MetLife Stadium. Listen to tomorrow's Take 5 to find out why. Because on Thursday we do story time. And so Logan's got some good ones from New York, including why he's actually fond of MetLife Stadium. So subscribe to Take Command wherever you get your podcasts, or watch full episodes on YouTube at 106.7 The Fan. We get back here on the Team 980. Anthony, I think we got a mystery box segment. We don't know what we're going to do. Sometimes that turns into nonsense. Sometimes we find a little piece of sound that's interesting. Stay tuned and find out. Next.
I tried to warn you, bro. It is a mess in downtown Nashville every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Not even
We moved hotels the next night. I still am waiting on my refund for that. But yeah, we moved hotels the second night.
Wow.
It was fun. You say they rely on them. We went to brunch with my buddy the next day, who is a Nashville native and has lived in Nashville long enough that he remembers when it was more than just the bachelorette capital of the world. And he's like, yeah, we're pretty much on the woo girl economy.
Yeah, that's precisely what's going on. The downtown businesses cater to that. If you try to get it shut down, you're probably the one getting thrown out. It is what it is right now. It's weird, but Nashville, baby. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So I will add one more small part to this story, and this is the part, frankly, that I've been waiting to tell you all week as well. That was kind of part one. We got quality Yates reaction. Part two, as we leave the hotel the next morning to go to breakfast. Remember, the wall's very thin. So it's not going where you think it's going. But as we walk down the hallway, my dear sweet wife just starts saying in a slightly elevated volume of voice, you know, it's been proven that the later groups stay out and make noise and all this stuff at their bachelorette weekend, the higher the divorce rate.
Oh God!
In the wedding,
So
and
she's
also
talking
the better
trash,
chances,
basically.
and also the better chances.
Wow. Okay. Okie dokie. So Rachel was pissed, basically.
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of tolerance for the woo girls. They say on the internet, like, feel free to post stuff, like your friends' photos, do whatever. But like whatever you do for your own well-being, don't read the comments. Comment section, bad idea. What do we do?
We read those comments, baby.
That is exactly what we do. That was a little bit better. I still feel like that one was a little muted. I think sometimes it feels like you build yourself up a little too much, and then sometimes you don't
I ain't
quite
want to go
for it.
screaming all the way. The thing is, though, my mic is a little lower than yours, so maybe I could have actually, did what I really.
Mike also moves. You can go, ooh. Did you know you could play tricks with a microphone?
I think I'll try that next time.
Okay. You want to give it another shot? Or you
We read those comments, baby.
There we go. All right. I feel ready now. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. So in the break, I just had this epiphany, and I was just like, I know this is, I don't know if epiphany might be too strong, Anthony. It's really cold in here.
No, it really is.
It was freezing. And so the temperature control for both my studio and Anthony's studio are it's the same temperature control. So I go over there. It's of course freezing in the producer's studio as well. And and I lower it, and I'm just like, how do you have the controls over there? You sit there, you're also freezing, and you don't get up and change it. Why did it take me coming over there?
So if you guys don't know, those that are listening and not watching the stream, I'm in a nice, hoodie that's, keeping me comfortable.
I'm also in a nice, I got a
warm.
Jordan hoodie on right now.
And I am also anemic as well, so I get cold very fast. But for some reason, when it does get cold, I never find it in myself to get up, walk over to the control panel, and adjust the temperature. I just never do. I just, I'd sit in it because, it's not.
Because why?
I actually don't have a reason why I don't get up. Maybe it's because I'm just too lazy.
Don't you feel better now? It literally is 4 degrees warmer already. I walked over there. I hit the button. It's 67 degrees.
But Craig, I'm also the same person that sits in the editing studio out there that's very hot.
That is true. And
I
always
don't know why.
So people understand. I go into where Anthony preps for the show, and I will open the door. I will realize how hot it is, and I will stand in the hallway and yell to him.
No exaggeration.
Because that is a better solution for me than standing in his hellscape of a studio.
Yep.
You could just be comfortable, man.
I don't know what it is.
Do you know how to work the thermostat?
I do. But how often do I adjust it?
Never.
That much. I don't even adjust it in my crib that much.
So
and it's getting cold actually now. So actually, I will probably adjust it, where it's heat coming in, not the cold air.
So here's a question for you. What temperature do you sleep at?
Whatever my house is at.
You don't adjust your temperature every single night?
No, I don't adjust it at night. Now, if I wake up freezing cold in the morning, I will definitely walk myself out of my my room and go adjust it. But for the most part, whatever the temperature is in my crib, that is just what I'm, sitting in.
Do you know what the temperature is in your crib right now?
It's probably like 71. Probably like 70.
That is wild to me that you don't know. You don't have a temperature set at all times.
It usually fluctuates between 69.5 to 71.
But you just let it.
Yeah. But now that it's getting cold, I probably will, move it up to about like 75, 76.
That's
I'm abnormal, Craig.
That is absolutely
I don't know what it is about my body. Like, yes, I get cold, but I'm not like shivering in here. And yes, I'll get hot in there, but I'm not like sweating.
It was getting cold enough in here that I was having trouble thinking straight.
Yeah.
It was really cold.
I don't
so
know what
we sleep at 67 during the summer, and we just crossed to the point where like it starts to get so cold outside at night that it feels colder inside. So now it's at 68, and it'll be at 68 until like April when it's time to go 67 again. And then we always set it at 73 in the apartment, like during the summer. And then, it's probably like we still set it at 73 during the winter. And then if it's like dropping into the 60s naturally because it's really cold, then we'll actually turn the heat on and then it's at like 70. But the fact that you are not like living in a climate controlled world is, and you're just like, whatever the wind says.
I mean, I have on my couch, because that's where I do a lot of my TV watching, if I watch TV.
Yeah.
I have a little blanket,
yeah, I'm a blanket guy.
Yeah, so if I get cold, I just throw that on. If I'm not cold, then I'll just sit there. Like, I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I am a little, not nervous,
could,
but like we're about to move into this new place in a couple weeks, and we're going to have to recalibrate all our temperatures.
Yeah. I wish I could explain, my body, but I just can't.
I just wish you could explain why you can't walk 4 feet and adjust the thing when it's freezing, and I have to come over there and do it myself.
If it's 0 degrees in here, you best believe I'll walk over there. But it's
thanks.
What was it? 68.
Only 67 to go.
Yeah, 67. Yeah.
All right. Next time I'm going to make Anthony go adjust the temperature and see if you're actually lying about your ability to adjust the thermostat. When we get back, Dave Johnson joins us from Madison Square Garden. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Scheduled here to have Dave Johnson on. And we just had Dave on the phone from New York City, and then the call dropped. So we will welcome Dave to the show momentarily. Wizards in New York tonight to play their third of 4 preseason games. They will finish it's actually kind of hilarious that they're playing the Knicks and then the Raptors, because the Knicks and Raptors are suing each other right now. I don't think Dave will probably have a lot of insight on the legalese between the Raptors and Madison Square Garden. But, it's just kind of a fun fact that when I say those teams together, I get a bit of a chuckle. But at the end of the day, they have a basketball game to play tonight. The Wizards do, trying to bounce back after an odd performance, I would say. Ultimately a win against the Hornets the other night in their first NBA preseason game, if you will. But the starters did not play particularly well, looking to bounce back on the road tonight. And now we have Dave back with us from Madison Square Garden. Dave, how are you, sir?
It's New York City. This place, it's only one place. And I'm looking at the ceiling at Madison Square Garden. You're probably hearing the music in the background. It may be preseason, but it's always a thrill to come here. And you know what? I'm just looking forward to another night of the Bilal Coulibaly experience. I was watching him today in shoot-around. He's 19 years old. He does not act 19 years old. And I'm, part of me is just thinking, man, what if we're watching and hopefully listening to something that's the start of something special? The Knicks are a team that they've had stops and starts. I was talking to, if you really want the experts on sports, don't go to me, go to the security guards at arenas. They know everything.
Yeah, they know everything.
True story. One time I had to fill in as a color analyst of Georgetown. Color, not play-by-play. And it was because of a snowstorm, and I'd never done a Georgetown game that year. I just asked all the ushers, and they, of course, watched every game and knew everything. But anyway, the point being that the Knicks, they're coming off a 47-win season, but they hadn't won a playoff series since 2013. This is New York City, the biggest city in the league, and they've had all kinds of starts and stops, and they can't get sustained success. But now they think they're on to something. They think they've got the right mix of players. They think they have cap room. If it sounds familiar, it sounds like what the Wizards obviously are trying to do. It's a team that does have cap room. We're not sitting around saying, well, we can't do anything in the next 3 years because we don't have any cap space, which is the reality in the NBA. And then if you get a special player like a Bilal Coulibaly, and he does develop, just like the Knicks had players develop, then you can become a top 4 team in a conference. And that's the part, again, Bilal, you look at his face, he's clearly 19. He is young, but the way he acts on the floor, he's wise beyond his years.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to watch not just him play so far. You see some of the defensive stuff, and you're like, oh, my God, this is cool. Wait till he finishes or figures out offense. But also the way his teammates react to him, Dave, seems pretty unique. You're obviously around everybody more than I am, but to me that's like a giant green flag, if you will, how his teammates talk about him.
Well, and it occurred to me yesterday, we're on the plane about to take off up here. It was Anthony Gill's birthday, and he gets on the loudspeaker and says, all right, we're going to sing, happy birthday. He's talking to the whole plane. Now, again, that might sound like a small thing, but, let's face it, when we were 19 or 20 or whatever, if you said, all right, you go ahead, rookie, you lead everybody in a happy birthday, you might be embarrassed or shy or whatever. And again, he's not from around these parts. He's from France, but in perfect English, and it's those little things that I think, wait a minute here, is he been here in another life or something? He does not seem like the NBA from college, from anything, from European pro is a galaxy jump. It's a huge jump, and yet. And I'm not saying, look, he's finished product. It's
sure.
It's hard for every player in this league. What I'm saying is, the moment and the place is not too big for him, and that bodes well for maybe we are watching somebody special that's going to develop. That's what you have to have sustained success, and that's what the Wizards want to be, a perennial contender. We've not been off the charts bad, but we've had, all right, a couple of years in a row in the playoffs, and we're fighting for the 7th, 8th, or et cetera. You want to be better than that, and that's the stated goal. And what I think they're constructing here, it's exciting. It's not going to, I don't think, and they outright said it's not going to about win totals this year, but let's see what Jordan Poole can do. Let's see. It does gives me anyway, a sense of excitement that there'll be a discovery, could be every night.
No doubt. By the way, I'm also very upset that Bilal is that good at English already. I am months into my French lessons before I go to the Paris Olympics with my wife next year, and I have not gotten to happy birthday yet, which probably says something about how I am doing pacing my French lessons. I probably should do more than one Duolingo lesson a day, but that's really a me problem, Dave.
No, it's it's a country problem. Every other, you talk to Europeans and you ask them how many languages they speak, and it's 3 or 4, and we're struggling to speak English. So
yeah,
anyway.
Especially into these microphones. I mean, good God, have you listened to the show?
Yeah.
Dave Johnson's with us here on the Hoffman Show, the Team 980. We're tonight 7-15. You get a bite of BetMGM tonight at 7, and then Dave and Glenn from Madison Square Garden at 7:15 for the pregame. 7:30 is your tip-off. It was a tough night shooting for Jordan Poole the other night. What did he have to say about that, and how much is he looking forward to getting to play under the bright lights at Madison Square Garden, albeit in a preseason game tonight?
I think you can't have more nights than like that than nights that are good. But in general, the Wizards, I don't know what was going on last Thursday, but they were just terrible from 3-point distance. Look, this team, we talked about this, that it's a situation where, the way you become a good 3-point shooting team is not to say, all right, wait a minute, we missed too many threes, we better retract and not. It's part of this NBA. You're going to have to make your threes. You're going to have to take your threes. And Jordan Poole, Corey Kispert, who also had a bad night the other night, they're going to make their threes. There's no question in my mind. It's not something that all of a sudden they don't remember how to shoot threes. But, you have those nights like Thursday night where you're thinking, wait a minute, nobody's hitting threes. What the heck is going on? It's not the Hornets 3-point defense that was doing it. So this team, especially because look, we've identified that the big weakness with this team will be rebounding. It just is not constructed as a rebounding team. So you're going to have to make threes. You're going to have to score. And Jordan Poole, I believe, will. I mean, he is the vibe around both Jordan Poole and Tyus Jones and guys that and Patrick Baldwin. I think we will see tonight. Be listening for that. These are guys that they really are chomping at the bit to show, all right, I'm going to get more opportunity here, and so let's see what they can do. And that's what we're on. It's a journey of discovery.
Dave Johnson, of course, on the call tonight for the Wizards. We'll have Dave back on Friday as well as they get ready for the Raptors then. And then regular season is here. It is just around the corner in the NBA. Is there a guy, Dave, down the roster that you think by even December, nevertheless January, February, that we'll be talking about a lot more because they're going to surprise people and play a lot of minutes? Obviously, a guy like Johnny Davis goes out. That's really unfortunate for the next couple of weeks here, but that could create an opportunity for like Orion Rollins, for instance. Is there one of those guys that you've been really impressed with so far in camp and preseason?
Well, it's a small sample size, but he's also not new to the NBA. Is Eugene Omoruyi, and that's not a name that I think a lot of people are talking about. But just the way he's playing, and again, it's an incredibly small sample size, and oh, by the way, only one against an NBA team. But he's played in the NBA before, so again, he's not a raw rookie. I just think that's a name that we didn't expect to factor in. That might at some point. When I get a question like that, I always answer with the first thing that comes to my mind. He's not expected to be a rotation player, but again, as you just documented, injuries or other things happen, and sometimes open opportunities for someone, and he could be a guy that, again, another guy on a list of guys on this team that are fighting for their NBA careers. Not to overstate it, but or understate it. The NBA is a good paying gig. The pay and the lifestyle drops off a lot when you're not in the NBA. So these guys, they're fighting for their NBA careers, and is there guys that are going to have an opportunity with the Wizards that they wouldn't have with some other teams?
Last thing real quick, Dave, on the way out. Obviously, you guys have Madison Square Garden tonight, but what's the buzz in New York City right now with Game 4 of the WNBA Finals across town in Brooklyn tonight?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of buzz about, the success they've had. I mean, I'm not going to say that, to be honest, we just got up here yesterday and I've been so focused on this game. But, it's exciting for this any league to have a good New York team. It's, you're supposed to win no matter the size of your market or whatever. That's what makes the NFL so great. A Green Bay can be successful, but it's good for any sport, any league, when a New York team makes noise and battles for a championship. So it's created a lot of buzz and it's created a lot of excitement, and it also just shows where we've come. Where you look at, from what I understand, the WNBA ratings for these playoffs have been soaring or been very encouraging. So it's a long way from 1997 when the WNBA started, and you're thinking, all right, is this actually going to work? Because women's professional basketball had never been able to work. But through the NBA's support and commitment, it survived some ups and downs, and now, is stable. It will expand. The Golden State Warriors just bought a team. It's definitely exciting. It's exciting times for basketball. And, again, there's actually a lot of buzz around this Knicks team because they love their basketball here in New York, and they finally believe that the Knicks are onto something after their 47-win season. So maybe these are the halcyon days of New York basketball again. I was just dying to use halcyon in a sense, which I was not going to be able to use tonight in the podcast. So I just wanted to slip that in there to the Hoffman show.
Hey, you never know. Maybe it'll be a double day for Halcyon. You'll get it in there too. All right, well, that's one reason to listen. Also, the game. Also, you never know what Glenn's going to say. There's many reasons to listen to Dave and Glenn on the radio party tonight. 7:15 pregame, 7:30 tip. And Dave, appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk to you from Toronto on Friday.
Yeah, in fact, I know it's more Montreal's French speaking, but my French, they do dual languages in Canada, so maybe I'll try to come up with a French speaker to come on for just a little bit to help you out on Friday. We'll see.
Oh boy! All right, I'll do my Duolingo between now and then. All right, thanks, buddy. See ya. It's Dave Johnson, everybody, with us here on the Hoffman Show. We get back, we close it out with real things real people said into real microphones. It is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Tomorrow on the show, Anthony, do we have anything planned for tomorrow?
NFL tiers.
We're going to do our NFL tiers finally. We've been teasing it for 2 days, and we have space in the rundown tomorrow. Faux show. What else do we got tomorrow? It's Thursday. What do we normally do on
Thursdays? We might have a Giants beat or whoever's doing the broadcast.
Well, it's Catalan and Matt Ryan and Tiki again. We're trying to get. I gotta actually text Tiki, see if we can get him on Take Command again this week. We got him on this show last week. I'd love to get him and Logan start talking. Maybe I'll text Catalan. I gotta see what else. Else we got. I mean, Catalan's great. We just already had him, and I don't want to.
We can get a Giants guy.
We could. Mraz produces afternoons now, so I can see what he's doing in the morning.
Oh, yep. That could be smooth.
Because he hosts the One Giant Step podcast, and he's always hilariously entertaining. Let's get Mraz on tomorrow.
All right.
So that's one thing we'll do. We got EB and Del Rio talking, so that's always an adventure.
A whole bunch of nothing.
Well, a whole little of nothing, and then a whole bunch of nothing. Del Rio,
pretty much.
the enemy. I think the sack stuff will come up, and we'll see what Eric has to say about that. Anything else tomorrow? Thursdays always start off like blank slate, and then they wind up jammed.
Yeah.
What's Thursday Night Football tomorrow?
Jags versus
someone.
Jags versus somebody.
Okay. Maybe that's worth a conversation. NFL tiers tomorrow. That's what you should tune in for. That and thoughts from Eric Bieniemy and Jack Del Rio. Okay, time to end the show.
Real things.
We're not going to be sucked this year.
Real people.
5-11. Not very good.
Said into real microphones.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
All right. The Dallas Mavericks have one of the best video departments in the NBA. They have for a long time because they used to have this very tall German man who set the standard. And basically, I've told this story before, but Anthony, when I worked down in Dallas and I got to see like these types of videos in Arena and whatever, the social media stuff that they had started to do at the time, like basically they just got to do all this crazy ideas because they had a couple of really creative people that would go to Dirk and be like, Dirk, will you do this insane thing? And Dirk would be like, yeah. And then once Dirk says yes, who is anybody else to say? No. And so they always do good stuff. This one's a little bit, I would say, more on the regular scale of things, but was quite funny. They did the Whisper Challenge. So you got Kyrie, you got Luka, you got Markieff Morris, you got all these guys trying to basically you have headphones on. They play a sound or like music, and then someone whispers something to them that they have to try to decipher by lip reading / hearing over the music in their headphones. And this is how it went.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman.
Nice job.
I saw Miley Cyrus, but that ain't it. Say it again.
Call of Duty.
Long Island iced tea.
Call me maybe.
Almond baby.
Let me see your ink.
Almond baby?
Orange juice.
Are you reading?
Are you ready?
Let me see Drake.
Shoot the tree.
Bad Bunny.
Maxi Cleaver.
Bad Bunny.
Maxi.
Nicki Minaj.
Electric car.
Conspiracy theory.
Speak clearly.
Did they say that at Kyrie?
Nah.
Because if they said conspiracy theory at Kyrie, that person deserves a raise and to go in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Nah, for Kyrie, I think they just said Marquise Morris. That's what they said for but he didn't really guess. He just sat there. He was like,
I don't know. I'm just listening to music because Kyrie's too cool for school.
Yep.
Conspiracy theory. Kyrie Irving. Close enough.
Speak clearly.
Triple double.
Apple.
Handstands.
Baby steps.
TikTok famous.
One more time. One more time. One more time. I don't know what that.
Newlywed. Married. Madagascar.
Mike has a nice car.
Call of Duty.
Hallelujah.
Celtics.
Celsius.
Oh,
that was Grant Williams. He had some funny reactions to the.
Grant Williams is a funny dude. Grant
Yeah, he
Williams
is.
is apparently a great guy.
He said, "Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah."
Oh, we have time for this one real quick. Yeah, no, not
Nope.
not really.
No,
No.
there's some
Dang.
funny ones in there though.
Dang. The Paul George one we can definitely play tomorrow.
Yeah.
And depending on how the NLCS goes tonight, we could probably play the DeAndre Swift Terrell Edmonds one too.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. Thanks, Dallas Mavericks, for that content. If you want to watch the video, go to their social pages. All right, that's it for the show. Tomorrow we'll do a whole bunch of stuff, including our NFL tiers. For Anthony Haney, I'm Craig Hoffman, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Hoffman Show, where we'll try to do better tomorrow.